Check, check, check. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back, motherfuckers. Hi, yeah, we spent so much time trying to help conservatives do math that we only got through Carney's, so now we're gonna do round 2 Electric Boogaloo for Ontario, looking at what Pierre Poilievre was saying. Now, there is one thing that I should mention. There was a tragedy that took place in Vancouver. I didn't talk about it too much earlier, and I'm not going to talk about it too much here. There's a lot we don't know about what happened, and the investigation is ongoing, so I'm not going to speculate because I don't think that kind of thing is cool to do. But I do want to say really quickly, or one thing that I think does need to be noted, is the difference in responses by the leadership. Jagmeet Singh did a press release and spoke on it. Mark Carney spoke on it. I believe he mentioned it today as well, and wrote an official post about it, like from the or from the Prime Minister's office. And Poilievre made a post on Twitter. So if you want to talk about good leadership, how one responds to a tragedy that's taken place is a concern, and having Poilievre post on fucking Elon Musk's piece of shit rag that is pseudo-owned by Saudi Arabia is not good, not a good look. But alas, shall we jump in to what he is saying on the campaign trail? Again, this is Oakville, Ontario. This is April 27th, 2025, so this was today? 9 hours ago. So, shall we? That's not a good response from somebody who wants to be a leader. I would agree with that. I'm not a big fan. I don't think that's too great, but you know, one thing I did want to show also really quick beforehand. Somebody was asking last stream earlier today, somebody was asking about, wasn't it the liberals who got us so lumped in with the American economy? And the answer is no. It's been the intention of Canada to work very close with America for a very long time. Both liberals and conservatives have been doing that since World War II. This is at least since World War II, if not longer. But I do want to point out Jean Chrétien, real quick. Just wanted to pull one thing. First off, very funny. But I wanted to point out that where is it? There was a part in here. Not the separation. Not that. There was something specifically about America. Trump's inability to stay out of Canada's political discourse is concerning. Yeah, that's fair. Where is it? Here we go. Later, a decision to reject Americans' call for Canada to join the Iraq War. So this was, if you want to talk about, like, wars, if you want to talk about Canada being tied too closely to America, it was the Liberal Party who was in power when they made the decision not to join America in the Iraq War. So, just as an example, since somebody was asking from last stream, I did just want to give an example of, this isn't a liberal versus conservative issue. It's certainly just something that's been a long-running thing. And what have I been saying? At least since Afghanistan, that since 9/11, there has been a slow separation, except for Harper. There was some stuff that went on with that, but that's a conservative issue, less Canada on a whole issue. So if you are curious, Twitter, which was recently bought by XAI. Actually, we did talk about that on Debate Pub last month, if you're interested, over on Debate Hub Official, if you want to go check that out. But, yes, so if you want to talk about whether or not the liberals or the conservatives were tying our economies closer to America or not. Chrétien was the leader at the time when Canada decided not to join the Iraq War. So, just as an example, that's just one. That's just an example. But I do wanted to point out one more thing from, again, this is the Bill Kelly podcast, which I've been watching on and off. But I thought I would point this out because the conservatives who have come in here have been concerned about spending. And so I figured I'd give you this, and also, and one of their concerns seems to be the spending specifically, like the economic spending overall, and fiscal responsibility. So I'm just going to let this play real quick.
At our expense. We've paid his salary. Now we're paying for where he lives, and have done that for the last few years. So the guy has virtually no financial experience, aside from cashing his paycheck that we supply for him. But over and above that, everything that happens there is on the record. What he says in Parliament is on the record. When he makes speeches is on the record. His expenses are on the record because he charged us for them. When he was the opposition leader this last year and a half or so, he spent more money traveling around the country than Justin Trudeau did, the prime minister. And of course, he'd stand up in Parliament and vilify Trudeau for the government spending. He was spending more. But we're not supposed to bring that up now because, well, that kind of runs contrary to the storyline that the conservatives are giving these days. At our expense. We've paid his salary. Now we're paying for where he lives, and have done that for the last few years. So the guy has virtually no financial experience aside.
So, to be clear, we're talking about somebody who doesn't even have to pay their own bills because we pay their bills for them. Right? That's all. It's all taxpayer money, as well as spending habits. So if you want to care about the economy, and you want to say that the economy and fiscal responsibility is very important to you as a voter, then voting for Poilievre is just silly. Like, it's just silly. Fantasyland, ultimately. But alas, also I'm going to be covering over on Debate Hub Official. Me and Landon are going to be live watching it, so if you are interested, feel free to swing on by over on Debate Hub Official tomorrow night. And this will be the last live stream before that one, so you won't see any more here. There won't be any on Monday. I'm taking Tuesday off. You can all fuck yourselves. I'm exhausted. But let's get into this. Let's see what Poilievre has to say. Oh, I'm going to skip to the part where Poilievre actually comes in also.
And celebrating sound and good. Home, sweet home. Here we are in beautiful Oakville. Poilievre.
A very crucial time where we must decide whether we're going to elect.
There he is. Maybe we shouldn't bring up that he wanted Singh fired before he could qualify for a pension when his pension is going to be the largest in Canadian political history. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how much Poilievre personally cares about winning this election just based off of, like, his pension alone. Like, he doesn't need to win. He got what he wanted. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much. Who's voting for change for Canada? Who's voting for homes and food you can actually afford for a change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change?
The safe streets thing is a non-talking point.
And who's voting to bring home the great Canadian promise for a change? Wow, what an incredible crowd we have here. Look at the size of this. Amazing.
Oh no, he's talking about crowd sizes. Okay, listen, that's not the first time he's talked about crowd sizes. In fact, he's really, really fucking weird about it. And, like, again, not to harp on this, but Timbit Trump is actually a really good name for him. If you want to see, let me just crowd sizes real quick. Where are you? Here is an example of him being super duper fucking weird about this.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre, Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. I want to ask about.
How did you like our rally last night?
Well, I wanted to ask about your rallies.
Thank you.
And whether size matters. I actually want to know about your rallies and what your strategy is and who you're talking to, because you bring up things like woke mob, Century Initiative, bulldozing the CBC. I'm exaggerating, but getting rid of it.
Watch this gulp that he's about to take.
CBC HQ. At what point are you just talking
Gulp
in an
again.
echo chamber to people who already feel that way, or do you feel like these are broadening the tent of
Did you see that? Like, he pulled his whole face back. Holy shit.
support to liberal or undecided voters to get them on board with your campaign?
That was a really weirdly worded question. Like, it's almost a good question, and then it kind of trails off and gets weird, but go on.
I mean, it's an interesting-ish. I need y'all to know that resorting to talking about crowd size. I need y'all to know that.
I think it's pretty broad. I think how many
Ish question.
I think it's pretty broad. I think how many people do you think we had last night?
I need y'all to know that resorting to talking about crowd sizes is the most pathetic shit imaginable.
I agree with Steve on that one.
Talking about crowd sizes is the most pathetic shit imaginable. Rally size means nothing. Doesn't mean how many people you can get to show up.
You can be more precise. It's pretty obvious. I think you can be more.
Thousands.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I think you can be more precise than that.
This is so. Look at this. Is so friggin' creepy.
Is he flirting with her?
This is.
And using his crowd sizes as a euphemism for his dick? Like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Well, you can get to show up.
Thousands.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I think you can be more precise than that.
This is so. Look at this. Is so friggin' creepy. This is so creepy. Tell me how big my rallies are. Tell me how big my rallies are.
The party said 10,000 register. There's reports of 15. I really can't say.
One last question. How much?
Wow.
When was the last
Like, literally, this is making me feel ill.
time we had a rally that big in Canada?
It's like, is he trying to hit on her?
I don't know.
Right?
I've never been to a political rally that big, I don't think.
You know a lot about politics.
Well,
You're a
thank you.
very
Ah!
very well-informed person. I know that if there were a bigger rally than that, you would know about it.
What the shit is this? This is the cringiest thing I've ever seen.
I think so. But I think it was pretty incredible. Were any of you there? This is magic, eh? Wow. Incredible. Listen, I think to have 10 or 15,000.
Like, is it possible to cringe to death?
Yeah, it is a cringe to death type of scenario. Like, that is very weird, and it's not the first time. There's a clip out there of him talking about John A. MacDonald rally sizes, and it's so fucking bizarre. It's so fucking weird, man. But here he is. Oh, look at the size of this. Look at the size of my crowds. Whatever. Fucking, are you By the way, I looked up because I was curious. Did you know this guy's name is Jeff? So Pierre Poilievre's birth name is Jeff, and he still goes by Jeff according to Wikipedia, by the way. So fucking Jeff over here. Hey, listen, if he's not gonna fucking respect trans people, and he's not gonna fucking then I'm gonna call him Jeff. And again, so basically he was adopted, and they, when he was adopted, his family changed his name to Pierre, but apparently, like, his more francophone adopted family. But according to Wikipedia, which he has had all the time in the world to change, but however, he still, according to Wikipedia, he still goes by Jeff, so it's not even dead naming. So if you notice that I start calling him Jeff, like Jeff, that's why. Because that's his actual name, or one of his names.
Have you all been out to vote for change already? Are you going to get...
Wait, you're doing a rally for a bunch of people who have already voted? So all these people have already voted for this? So who are you talking? Who are you talking to people that already voted? That's funny.
Gather up your friends to vote for change. You're going to drag them out to the polling station and make sure they get it done for a change.
I think that actually might be illegal, but eh.
Because time is running out. Only one more day to bring home change so that Canadians can afford food and homes and live on safe streets. You have to get out and vote to make it happen. Now, before I get into the substance of my remarks, I think we should all take a moment to acknowledge...
So he uses a screen name. Yeah, Poilievre is very fake. Between making himself look taller at the debate, between the whole makeover that he got when he went from being when he became, I guess, the leader of the party. He got a whole ass makeover. The amount of money he spent on, like, just for men's to keep his hair looking dark while Trudeau was prime minister, and how he's now got it changed out so he looks a little bit older because Carney's got silver. That's then on top of that he changed the way he pronounces his last name to make it sound more French. Like, everything about this dude is super duper fake.
The terrible
because you know what you want in a leader, right? Lacking confidence.
That unfolded late yesterday in British Columbia. All of our hearts and prayers are today with Canada's brilliant and proud Filipino community who've lost so much. I ask you to say a little prayer for all of those who are without a loved one today. Or
so he didn't make a statement, but he has mentioned it in his campaigning.
We unite as Canadians in honoring all of them, and we take inspiration from the lives that they lived. Thank you very much. My friends, today is a day to unite our country, to bring our people together.
Ooh, that's a rough rollover, I'm not gonna lie. That is admittedly not an easy thing to do. Like, that's hard to pull off. I don't buy it. But
look forward with optimism and hope to the future.
He has to pronounce it Poilievre. Poilievre, until he needed French vote, yeah.
And Anna described that future in telling her family story. It's a story that many of you have experienced. Coming here with very little, building a business.
Coming here with but you regularly talk about how you don't like immigrants. So what are you talking about?
Starting a family, building a life. A story of Canada where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. Where it doesn't matter if you've been here for 6 weeks or 6 generations.
That's never been the case, though. Not anyone from anywhere could achieve anything in Canada. That's never been the case, especially when you want to talk about Indigenous people, especially when you want to talk about the Irish at one point, especially if you want to talk about, like, this is, no.
Prepared to put your shoulder to the wheel, you can move forward and achieve anything you want. That's the story that allowed me to be on this stage. It's why I'm so grateful to be Canadian, and it's why I'm in politics today. But that promise...
Yeah, what? Huh? That's why I'm in politics today. Because you care about immigration and upwards mobility in the socio-economic sphere? Is that what's on your voting record? I don't... Is that why you call the Canadians stupid and why you keep saying Canada sucks? Was he not on the Joe Rogan podcast recently? Was that not a thing that happened? I'm gonna double check that. I want to see the date on that motherfucker.
Right now is broken after the lost Liberal decade. Housing costs have...
See? What did I just say? Lost Liberal decade took him 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Lost Liberal decade. Canada sucks. We're broken, guys. Canada's broken. Uh-huh. Are we? Is Canada broken? How? Are we broken? Do you guys think we're broken? If you think Canada's broken, can you tell us why you think that? I would love to know why Canada's broken. And if you answer the lost liberal decade, touche. I set the bar too low.
Literally doubled. They've risen faster than at any time in Canadian history, more than in any other G7 country. I meet young people every day who believe they'll never be able to afford a home in Canada. And you got one right there? Yeah. How old are you? 23. And you want to own a home? Start a family? Build a life? And you have hope today that we can vote for that change and give you that chance?
Okay, so he hasn't been on Joe Rogan. He went on with Jordan Peterson, and then Jordan Peterson went on to Joe Rogan to talk about him.
You will. We hear the stories of, I love you too.
April says Canada is so broken, but I'm gonna fix it by spending more and lowering taxes because magic. Canada is way less broken than the United States. Well, the United States right now is not only broken, but also broke. Too many Nazis. Yo, fair?
I love all of you. And it's been the privilege of my life to fight for all of you, and our work is just beginning because starting tomorrow, we're going to be bringing change to all of Canada.
Again, I would like to ask any conservative listening, could you please tell me about Poilievre's voting record and tell me in his 20 years in politics, including when the Conservatives were in power, what this man accomplished? If you could do me that favor, because I went looking, I couldn't really find a whole ton, and I found mostly that he voted against keeping housing affordable. So if you don't mind letting me know, in case I missed it somewhere, checking his voting record and getting back to me, that'd be great. Also, please explain to me how a career politician who's been in politics for 20 years, 2 decades, counts as a change.
And, you know, we have these incredible candidates.
Especially when he's harking back to old policies that he wants to bring back. I don't see how that's change. I don't see how that's forward. Because that's what he's trying to say. He's like, we want to move forward, we want change, but he's proposing old shit, which is regressive, as opposed to forward thinking. It's all backward thinking.
Candidates who are going to help
Even
us.
at the very beginning of this, the first thing he brought up was, hey, remember back in the good old days of Canada? Like, no.
Bring change. Nous avons des candidats extraordinaires parce que pour le coup, un changement russe qui va tenir de c'est ce qu'il faut. Ben, c'est ça le choix. Now,
he loves me against my will. Can I file a restraining order? You can certainly try.
Don't miss anyone. We have an incredible slate of conservative candidates who are going to be bringing change to Canada. Ron Chinzer, Tim Crowder, Emily Brown, Parm Gill, Louis Sababa, Sue McFadden.
I know he's not, but it look like the way he's looking down makes me think he's got it like written on the palm of his hand. I'm sure that's not what he's doing, but like that's the visual I'm getting here. Very funny.
Team Akbar. What an amazing team. But I've got terrible news for them. I've got some terrible news for them. It's very good news for all of you, but it's terrible news for all the politicians. You know, change can't wait. We need affordable homes. We need safe streets. We need to bring our jobs back to Canada for a change.
He's repeated that 4 times so far.
And that is why I have announced that I am canceling summer vacation on Parliament Hill.
We're in the middle of an economic crisis. And this is the... Sure. Okay. Oh my god, at first they're chanting "We want change," but for a second it sounded like USA for a second. I was like, no.
We want change. So, if you have a little cabin, you can go online and rent it out to someone else. If you have golf clubs, you can sell them on eBay, because you're not going to be needing them, fellow representatives, because we want...
So, okay, whatever. Go on.
100 days of change, during which time we will be passing 3 laws: the Affordability for a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act, and the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act within 100 days of taking office.
So there's a couple of problems with this, one of which is the fact that Jeff's tax cuts won't come into effect until after 4 years. So I'm a little bit skeptical. And again, I would like to pose a question to the conservatives out there. Can you please tell me and explain to me how you parse Carney spending 9 days in office getting more done than Poilievre has ever gotten done in his whole career? I would just love to know how you parse that. But let's take a look, right? He wants to pass these as, he said bills, right? Is that what he said? He said bills? Oh, he's just calling them act. Laws! He wants to pass them as laws! You do know that to pass a law in Canada, you have to get it through through our Supreme Court? And he wants to pass 3 of them within 100 days? Like... I don't think, yeah, they're playing a game in the background. They're in the other room playing, I think it's called Mutants and Masterminds. It's a tabletop game. How new laws and regulations are created. This is from the government of Canada. Indigenous traditions. So you have to get through that. Legal heritage. Because our society is so complex, it would be nearly impossible if lawmakers had to deal with all of the details of all of the laws to help us with this. Parliament and provincial and territory legislature often pass laws to give departments or other government organizations the authority to make specific laws called regulations. As you can see below, regulations carry out the purposes of general laws or expand on them. But the legislative process is, legislation is a written law that provides rules of conduct. To become law, legislation must be approved by Parliament. Proposed legislation is introduced to Parliament in the form of a bill, which provides the basis to amend or repeal existing laws or put new ones in place. Canada's legislative process involves all 3 parts of Parliament: the House of Commons, elected in lower chamber, the Senate, appointed upper chamber, and the monarch, the head of state, who is represented by the Governor-General in Canada, and these 3 parts work together to create a new law. So he wants to pass 3 laws within 100 days, requiring all 3 fucking portions of legislature. So, really? I'm gonna make a poll. Do you guys think that it's possible to even do... Actually, I'm not gonna make a poll. Just yes, no. Yes, no, me in the chat. Do you guys actually think that anybody, let alone Poilievre, like, take Poilievre out of the picture, do you think anybody would be able to pass 3 laws in the course of 100 days? I guess it's possible, but proposed policy is developed by the government, then it is presented to the cabinet for approval to draft a new bill. The cabinet is the prime minister's forum for creating consensus amongst the government's ministers. A bill is text of legislative initiative that the government submits to parliament to be approved and then possibly amended before becoming laws. Following the cabinet's approval, the Department of Justice then drafts the bill. This is done in collaboration with the government's department and agency's policy development and legal service teams. Then there's a first reading of the bill in either the House of Commons or the Senate. Then there's a second reading of the bill. Traditionally, parliamentarians then debate the principles of the bill and then vote to decide whether it should be studied further. If the bill passes a second reading, it is then sent to parliamentary committee, which studies in depth and holds public hearings to hear views and may make changes to the bill. Then there's the reporting stage. When a committee has finished its study, it reports the bill back to the chamber during the reporting stage, and the parliamentarians can also make amendments to the bill. Then there's a third reading of the bill, and the bill is then subjected to a final debate and vote. If the bill passes the vote, then it is sent to the next chamber, where it then goes through the same process. My brother in Christ, 100 days of doing at least 3 debates and hearings? 3 separate times? In between which it has to go through the Department of Justice and has to go through committees and go through reviews? You're not going to be able to pass 3 laws in 100 days. Once the bill has been passed in the same forum by both chambers, it goes to the Governor General for royal assent and then becomes Canadian law. The royal assent is kind of whatever. Like, it's kind of more of a technicality in my opinion, but, you know. Good God, you can't seriously actually believe that you're going to be able to pass 3 laws in 100 days. That would be difficult even with a majority government. But if Poilievre wins, it does not seem like he's going, realistically, take your favorites out. Realistically, Poilievre is not set to win a majority government. If he wins, it's going to be a minority government. So, 100 days, 3 laws. No. That's not good motherfucking luck. Like, good motherfucking luck. And that's assuming that nobody is opposing you. And, like, in a minority government, these things aren't, no, there's no way. There's no fucking way, even if he wins, he's gonna pass 3 laws in 100 days. My Unfinished Journey for 222 said, Hail Nero Chash, down with pervy Palpatine. Yeah, God, that was so weird. And then there's the regulatory process, but that's like a whole different slew of nonsense. Yeah, like, good luck, I guess. Good you know what? He's reaching for the stars. I guess it's good to be ambitious, but, like, at what point are you just lying?
For a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act.
Oh, hey, Seabass, welcome back. Did you figure out how to do the math yet? Did you figure out what 15% on a 15% cut on 20% is yet? I believe in you.
And the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act within 100 days of taking office. 100 days of change. And so the change Canadians need is more urgent.
Oh, sorry about that. Here, I'll give you guys this this link so you guys can go. Feel free to check it out on your own. What you think about, like, the laws and regulations.
Than the vacation that politicians might want, and the future that we have is more. You got that right. I got an endorsement there. And thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, do the math then now.
It will be a privilege. Prime Minister. Minister means servant. Prime Minister means first servant, and it will be an honor to serve all of you to deliver the change you deserve. But change requires a plan, and we have a conservative plan to act quickly to change the direction of our country. That plan is actually called Change for an Affordable Life, for Safe Streets, for Canada First. Let's go through the plan.
Okay, how many times have we repeated? I counted 4 before, 5. So we're at least around 6 to 7 times.
To start with, we need to make Canada an affordable place for you to raise a family, to retire, to own a home, and to live a life.
Okay,
But
go
why is
on.
it so expensive today?
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Oh my god. He's so long-winded.
The reality is that out-of-control government spending over the lost Liberal decade has flooded our economy with cheap cash, bidding up the cost.
Cheap cash. Alright, again, I'm just gonna play this again real fucking quick.
At our expense. We've paid his salary. Now we're paying for where he lives and have done that for the last few years. So the guy has virtually no financial experience aside from cashing his paycheck that we supply for him. But over and above that, everything that happens there is on the record. What he says in Parliament is on the record. When he makes speeches is on the record. His expenses are on the record because he charged us for them. When he was the opposition leader this last year and a half or so, he spent more money traveling around the country than Justin Trudeau did.
So what was that about reckless government spending? That Poilievre spent more money than Justin Trudeau? Traveling around the country, campaigning when there isn't a campaign going on? When he's supposed to be being the opposition? Ignoring his riding, which he's now potentially losing? Does hypocrite fall under the looks of a good leader? Is being a hypocrite up there? I don't think so. I don't think being a hypocrite makes you a very good leader.
The Prime Minister. And of course, he'd stand up in Parliament and vilify Trudeau for the government spending. He was spending more.
Go figure.
Cost of the goods you buy. Taxes now make up more of your family budget than food.
So him no. So him being recklessly spending a different set of money makes it okay and isn't a demonstration about how he handles money to you? And this is disregarding his staffed mansion? Staffed mansion that taxpayers are paying for. You want to, again, we're back to reckless government wasteful spending? Does he need to live in a mansion? Does he need a staff for his mansion that is paid for by tax dollars? Pay attention, guys. Come on. I believe in you.
Food, clothing, and shelter combined. Higher taxes mean less take-home pay and more...
And yes, April is 100% correct. It's not campaign funds spent when you're not in campaign season. It wasn't campaign season. Yes, he spent taxpayer dollars. Yes, it is. It's government funded. It was paid for by the taxpayers. You paid for him to campaign and lie to people and give donuts to Nazis during the trucker rallies. You paid for that. You paid money for him to do that. You paid money for him to go to talk to Jordan Peterson and talk about how he's never changed his mind about anything in politics since he was 17 years old. You paid for that. If you're going to say it wasn't government money, what government money was it? You know, did you not listen to what he just said? It's on the record. He charged Canadians for it. Did you not listen? Have you looked at his fucking expense spending? Seabass, go look at it. Go tell me what the total number is. Go on. Go do the math. You're saying no, it's not, without having any fucking clue what you're talking about. Then tell me what it is then.
For hardworking people and entrepreneurs. That is why we have launched a plan to cut $55 billion of waste by cutting consultants, $10 billion annually, by streamlining the bureaucracy.
Cutting consultants means cutting scientists, because the people that are consulting on the environment are scientists. The people that are doing the consulting are people who understand geology when you're deciding where you're going to build something. The people you're consulting for, like, carbon emissions are scientists. So, are you sure Or do you just, when you think of consultant, you think of like a political consultant? Because that's not what he's talking about.
Proceed.
I don't like that, but okay, so all parties get government funding, but it's for the purposes of campaigning, but it's not him exclusively. I don't like that, but that's how it works. And then Alex says, and writing off the travel expenses at your expense. And April said, this is not from the campaign. Oh my god, you're missing the point really hard. See, how far can you bend over backwards to suck this man's dick? I'm curious. I'm just curious, because you completely, like, tried to bend over backwards to attempt to dodge the issue and the criticism. The criticism is that he complained about other people and is currently complaining about wasteful government spending, when he is in fact the one who wastes government money. Him. That is paid for by you. He wastes it on living in a mansion. He wastes it on him having his insane fucking pension that is paid for by taxpayers. The staff for his mansion, which is paid for by taxpayers. And his campaigning during off-season when he's not supposed to be campaigning at all. His travel expenses, including his travel and his food and the food for his staff, and the travel for his staff, came out of your taxpayer dollars, and he spent more than anybody else did. He spent more than the fucking prime minister, while also jerking off complaining about Trudeau spending too much. So again, is the word hypocrite underlined in red in capital letters actually part of what makes a good leader to you? Seabass? Seabass, you think hypocrite is a leadership quality? Yes, no. Do you think that maybe cutting government spending, you could cut a castle, yeah. You want to see where Poilievre lives? Do you want to see? This is, by the way, while he was neglecting his own riding. By the way. Let me pull it up. Let's make sure we get this right. No, that's his mailing address. That's not what I want. Here we go. 10 mansions that the common man Pierre Poilievre has fundraised in. Oh no, that says fundraised in. That's the wrong thing. Stornway. There we go. So let's see if we can get the Google map. Ta-da! Let's go to the, let's grab the Google map for it. This is what it looks like, by the way. Ta-da! There you go. There it is. Let's go back to the, no. Bring me back to the overall. There we go. You see this property? You see this house? Yeah. Does he need all that? Would that be considered wasteful government spending to you? No, of course not, because you're a simp. He spent more than all the other politicians in Canada and has the gall to say that wasteful spending needs to be cut, and has the gall to complain that other politicians spent money. So, yes, no. I'm taking this as a yes, by the way, that you think being a hypocrite and being the last person to cut his own anything. Again, I would like to point out that April brought up him complaining about Jagmeet Singh's pension, right? You want to know what Poilievre's pension is that you pay for? Poilievre's pension is estimated to be worth $1.75 million. Of your tax dollars. $1.75 million. So do you think that cutting $10 billion annually to cutting consultants, i.e. scientists, about climate change is wasteful spending? Is good? You think cutting money to children getting popsicles is... Do you think children getting popsicles during 8 hours of chemotherapy wasteful spending? Seabass is literally just ignoring the facts at this point. Why is it that the facts are so problematic for you, by the way? If you had good reasons for supporting this guy, why would the facts be an issue? Yeah, no, I know the answer is yes, you think that it's wasteful spending? Yeah. Yes, I would agree. Poilievre is wasteful spending.
By cutting foreign aid so we can bring our money back to Canada.
Cutting foreign aid would mean cutting Ukraine. That would mean cutting spending in Ukraine. And if you cut it in its totality, you're just gonna let Russia steamroll Ukraine? You're just gonna let hundreds of thousands of people die to Putin? And you're just gonna let a dictator steamroll a group of people? Really? An ally? Ukraine's our ally. And that disregards assuming that fucking Putin's gonna stop in Ukraine, which he will not. And I would like to point out that, again, foreign aid is an investment that is good for Canada. How is it wasteful to spend campaign funds on campaigning? He didn't spend campaign funds, you fucking moron. He spent your taxpayer dollars on travel expenses to campaign, which was money that's supposed to be used for doing his job as the opposition. Pay attention. I know this is really difficult for your crayon-addled brain. Look it up. Look it up. Go ahead right now. Go pull it up.
And by bringing in a dollar-for-dollar law that will require we find $1 of savings for every...
So now that's the fourth law he wants to bring in. Dollar-for-dollar law.
And by bringing in a dollar-for-dollar law that will require we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. In this way...
That's not how big money spending works and investment works. That's not how it works. If that... You don't even want dollar for dollar. You want to make more money back when you invest. You don't want to just make your money. You want to make more money. So again, if I spend $1,000 right now on making sure a child has lunch, in 30 years from now, that child is going to pay back that $1,000 in like 1 year worth of paying taxes that they wouldn't have made had they not been able to get through school. You don't want a dollar for dollar. When you make investments, you want to make more money than what you invested. That's bad economics. And it also doesn't make any sense on any kind of national level. As soon as you try to do something like that on a national level, you're lost. You're completely lost in the sauce. Because that's just not how it works. If I spend X amount of dollars importing coffee, right, for the nation, then I'm going to have not a dollar for dollar with Colombia. That's literally not how trade works, especially free trade agreements. You don't just dollar for dollar everything. And you don't do it on an international stage, and you don't do it on an internal stage either. No actual company or business functions like this either. That's just literally not how it works. April from the chat said he was spending government funds to travel and campaign when it wasn't campaign season. Yes, you're absolutely... No, it's not uncalled for. You're correct. This Seabass is literally just being a contrarian to be a shithead. If you want to know what Poilievre spent, look it up. You can look it up yourself. You don't need us to stop everything we're doing and spoon feed you facts.
We will
do
cut
your
the
own
liberal
research.
deficit by 70% over 4 years. This will allow us to free up money to reward your...
Citation, Seabass. What you're suggesting he did is technically illegal. Citation. What about it was illegal? And an ethics violation. Citation. Which ethics board are you referring to? And by the way, Trudeau was found breaking these rules himself. Where? And yes, it's not a suggestion. This is a fact. It's publicly listed. He expensed it. It's publicly listed because he expensed it. Do you not know where to find Poilievre's expenses? So, citation needed, Seabass. So where's your citation? Come on, pull it up.
We will cut the liberal deficit by 70% over 4 years.
Yeah, he wants to doge everything, and that's how he thinks it's going to work, and that's literally doesn't work. Look at what Americans are doing. It obviously does not work.
Allow us to free up money to reward your hard work by cutting income tax by 15%, so you keep your money for a change.
See? Cutting income tax by 15%. That's 15% on 20%. That's 2%. 3%. Give or take. Which, again, won't happen until 4 years from now. That tax change, according to Poilievre, is not going to happen for 4 years.
Not only that.
May have to spoon him this one time. It's okay. I got a spoon. I'll put the facts in it, and we'll just open it. It's an airplane. Where's your citation, Seabass? If your next comment isn't a citation, I'm going to time you out until you bring me an actual citation.
We will reward production here in Canada. I've announced that as long as the tariffs are in place, Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles.
Okay, and how is that going to help? Explain it. How is cutting the sales tax on cars going to help the Canadian economy? How is that going to help with the tariffs?
In that same vein,
I'm not saying it won't. I want him to answer how and why his plan is going to work. Explain it.
we will get rid of the Carney tax. That's, he wants to bring in, starting next year.
Carney hasn't implemented a single tax. In fact, he cut 2 of them. He cut the carbon tax for the personal carbon tax, and he cut the general sales tax for building. So Carney has never implemented a tax. So calling something a Carney tax is just dishonest and probably slander. All right, so enjoy your time out, Seabass, and you can come back with your citation.
He wants to ban you from having a gas or diesel-powered car.
Nope. There is nothing that is banned. There is nothing in there that bans those cars. That's not true.
He's phasing out. He's
phasing out is not a ban. Those are not what those words mean.
capping and reducing every year the number of automobiles that are powered by gas that dealerships can sell.
No, I'm not gonna tell Seabass where Seabass can find the information. Seabass is confident they already know this information, which means that they should be able to know exactly where to find the expenses. They know all this, right? They have all this information. They should have the direct source.
Every car over that limit will pay a $20,000 tax at point of sale. To $20,000 tax on your car. We will axe the Carney tax and we will make it more affordable for you to buy a car.
$20,000 tax is almost the price of an entire car. What the fuck are you talking about? What?
And get around. Putting you in the driver's seat for a change.
It took you 2 seconds to Google it? Yeah, go figure. Go fucking figure.
And we are going to bring our investment home to this country. Here we have a warehouse. This is capital. This is investment. We need
No, a tabloid is not a citation. I want a proper citation, properly worded.
more of these places, more machines, more technology, more pipelines, more mines. We need it all to bring home our paychecks. We need more home building. But to do it, we've got to cut the taxes on investment. That's why I've announced the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your money in Canada for a change. We need to unlock the biggest home building boom in Canadian history. And that is why I have announced that we will lead the charge at a federal level. We will axe the sales tax on new homes to save you up to 65 grand.
The sales tax for building has already been cut. So again, tell me how that is actually going to work in conjunction with the 2% or 3% cut on income tax is how long it's going to take and at what amount of money it's going to take for you to be able to afford the down payment of a house. Do the math, right? The conservatives are so smart and they care so much about the economy, right?
We will incentivize our municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut their development taxes to bring down housing taxes by $100,000 for every new purchase and incentivize the construction of 2.3 million homes over 5 years so that our youth can afford a place to live for a change. And we need to have the incredible tradespeople who will be building these homes. Boots, not suits. We're going to team up with union training halls to train 350,000 of our young people.
Yeah, the We Charity, I just skimmed it. It's a red herring. It's just a detraction from what's actually currently being discussed.
In the licensed trades so we can have more electricians, more pipe fitters, more carpenters, more boilermakers with more paychecks.
More Boilermakers? More carpenters with more... God, how is that? How is one gonna preclude the other? Poilievre, Jeff. You can't do Poilievre math without magic, yeah.
Our schools. A beautiful gift to every high school principal. I know education is provincial, so we will incentivize our schools. A beautiful gift to every high school principal. I know education.
Okay, that's that's on their end. I don't know what that is.
Is provincial, so we're going to get some constitutional experts. Thank you, and we will.
You're gonna get some constitutional. Didn't you just say you were going to cut consultants? If you're going to cut consultants, how are you going to pay constitutional experts? Because that's a consultant, sir. So he says he's going to cut consultants and then explains how he's going to hire more consultants? Huh? Okay.
Hold that trust. You know, but I'm going to send a present to every high school principal.
Are you going to charge the taxpayers to do it like you charge the taxpayers for your fucking cook that lives in your mansion? Are you going to expense the Canadian taxpayers to send a gift to every high school principal? So is he describing how he's planning on bribing people? How about you just pay teachers more? What about that? How come that's not on the fucking on deck here? No? I haven't had a Boilermaker for ages. Yeah, what the fuck? Boilermaker. 100K a year income multiplied by 0.2 tax equals 20K multiplied by 0.15 reduction equals 3K. 500K house down payment equals 100K. Years to save for a down payment for 100K at 3K equals 33.3 years. Thank you, Red Cedar. There you go. It's going to take 33.3 years if you're saving 3K to do it. So you'd have to have, at minimum, 100K per year that you're making for this tax to get you to pay for a down payment from a house in 33.3 years. That's just the down payment. That doesn't even start about the sales tax. That's if you remove the sales tax in totality. This is just the down payment. So you understand that cutting people's taxes is not going to be enough money. And it is not going to help people who are making 40K a year. Yeah, you have to make 100K. Exactly. This axe the tax mathematically means nothing. It means nothing. It helps nobody. It's not going to be enough. And this is assuming that in 33.3 years, housing prices don't go up. This is also assuming that you don't have any additional expenses. This is disregarding the expenses that you're currently paying, right? That's the amount of money that you have to make. So, this also completely ignores that if this motherfucker has his way, you don't get healthcare anymore. So God forbid you will have to buy insurance. So you gotta add that to your costs. Because you're now gonna have to pay that too. So, good luck.
Teachers or high school principal here. We've got a teacher over there. So how do you teachers? Excellent. So I want you to know if you. Thank you.
How do you teachers ? Excellent? Huh? What is he saying? Is he just rambling?
And we will uphold that trust. You know, but I'm going to send a present to every high school principal. Are there any teachers or high school principal here? We've got a teacher over there. So how do you teachers? Excellent. So I want you to know if you. Thank you. My parents were teachers. I love the teachers. And listen, I want to.
Carney's parents were also teachers, by the way. Interestingly enough, weird. And now teachers are good, but when it's Justin Trudeau, teachers are bad. So teachers are great unless you're Justin Trudeau. Again, I would like to say that I don't think anybody, if you were to list qualities of leadership, that hypocrite would be fucking on there.
I tell you my idea, and you can tell me what you think. There's going to be a big box arriving at every high school in Canada from the Prime Minister's office. And in that box... So
from the Prime Minister's office means that the taxpayers are paying for it. That's the taxpayers. So Poilievre is going to charge taxpayers for a big box that's going to be sent to principals. It won't get you a house, but it'll get you a car to live in. Yeah.
Be about the size of this stage. There's going to be a module for every licensed trade.
April says, with his tax reduction, I could afford to use the money I saved to put down $50K down payment after 120 years. Wow, it's almost like the math doesn't check out.
Every high school in Canada from the Prime Minister's office. And in that box, it's going to be about the size of this stage.
Only high school principals, apparently. No other principals. Fuck the rest of you.
Canada.
Does that include, by the way, sorry, just all high schools, like including the Catholic high schools and private high schools? I just want to make sure that we're clear about what high schools we're talking about.
From the Prime Minister's office. And in that box, it's going to be about the size of this stage. There's going to be a module for every licensed trade so that our young people can get started on pre-apprenticeships as early as age 14. What do you think?
So you gotta buy the books. You gotta ship the books. You're gonna do the tax, you're gonna have the taxpayers pay for it, but you're doing it from the Prime Minister's office so you don't have to officially keep a proper record by making it like a policy and like actually going through the process to do something like that. Is that what he's getting at here? He's going to circumvent. Is that what I'm understanding here? I don't know why that... What makes you think that would help? Having manuals for something that's not part of the curriculum doesn't do anything, you fuckhead! And if you have one manual for every high school, that doesn't mean anything! Oh my god. And of course he already said he was going to fire all the consultants. That would include the people who you would consult about education improvement, by the way. That's not even an education plan. That's just throwing books at school at a school as if it would do anything. You would actually have to... No, don't get 14-year-old pre-apprenticeships. We need them to work at McDonald's. Yeah, right? Like, a 14-year-old shouldn't be fucking doing an apprenticeship. They're 14. You should start that when you're, like, 18. We gotta get those kids working as fast as possible, am I right? Like, what the fuck? Labor laws? You're trying to circumvent the labor laws right now? Is that what I'm understanding? 14-year-olds are not supposed to be operating heavy machinery. Oh my god, he thinks education is just throwing a singular module at an entire high school. Oh no, that's so fucking stupid. How about a plan for enabling and making school better? What in the fuck? This man is insane. That is an insane statement. That literally, the coal mines, the children yearn for the mines. That is actually fucking insane. That is actually fucking insane. Unbelievable. Is that supposed to be like the plan for education? This is the Conservatives' education plan, is to throw some books around? Has he done the math for how much that would cost? Because he's clearly not proposing it as like a proper fucking plan. And if you're cutting all the taxes, how are you going to pay for this? You're not you're not consulting anybody because you've fired them all. You're cutting all the taxes, so you can't afford to even do a review. Are you gonna try to change the education system without consulting professionals? In the field? I don't know why these fucking idiots are cheering on getting rid of, experts Getting rid of consulting experts. Like, why do you think that that's a good thing? It's just like, oh, yeah, we hate educated people who know what they're talking about. Yeah! You're pretty sure he's just winging this part? Well, if he's winging it, then he's very stupid. He's not stupid for winging it. I mean to say that if this is the best he can come up with on the spot, he's a moron. I could come up with a better educational proposal than this. Oh my god, they're standing up. You're gonna give him an ovation for that shit?
And they're going to be busy because there's going to be a lot to build. We have the most resources of any country in the world. We should be the richest nation on earth. We're going to repeal.
Being the richest nation on earth doesn't work if all of the money is in the upper echelon.
Mark Carney.
Change, yeah, change. Positive change, negative change, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Keep it in the ground agenda. We'll repeal the anti-development law C-69.
C-69 is not an anti-development law. It's a law about emissions. You're allowed to develop whatever you want. It just has to meet criteria. If you can't meet the criteria, then obviously you don't get to build. It's about having standards. That's like saying we're going to repeal all the safety requirements for building skyscrapers because we have these requirements for safety and staircases and fire escapes to ensure that these buildings are safe, but they're stopping people from building, so we're gonna get rid of them so people can build whatever the fuck they want. Because having these safety regulations are anti-building. It's an anti-development law. Like, no, it's not. It's not anti-development. It's just about having fucking standards. But, to be fair, Poilievre, Jeff over here, clearly is a demonstration about how the conservatives don't have any fucking standards. Because if you had standards, you wouldn't have somebody leading your party who doesn't have his security clearance, hasn't changed his mind about anything in politics since he was 17, according to him, and is in bed with Nazis.
9, the energy cap, the tanker ban.
The Liberals built a pipeline and bought a pipeline. You stood out front of it for one of your fucking campaign things. Someone needs to tell this man that pipelines are gay. Yeah, pipelines are real gay.
Prove the big, beautiful mines that are going to dot...
The big, beautiful drill, baby, drill. Can't sound more like Trump, I dare you.
Northern Ontario and make this province richer through the ring of fire. We're going to do it within 6 months to get digging for a change.
You're going to do all this within 6 months while also passing 3 and potentially 4 laws within 100 days? Are ya? And you're going to ensure that this matches all of the regulations? Wow, in bed with Nazis, that is a tad much. No, it's a tad accurate. The convoy of truckers were waving Nazi flags, and he was delivering coffee to them, and donuts. So yes, in bed with Nazis is incredibly accurate. There's literally video and pictures of it, and he literally spoke publicly about it, about how he supported these people that were waving Nazi flags. Details schmeetails. Yeah, who cares about facts and evidence? We don't care about that. So no, it's not much. It's accurate. And if that fact makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you should reconsider your position. It's okay, you're for a change. You should change your mind. You didn't see that? You just missed that whole trucker thing? Really? You missed the whole terrorism of Ottawa? What was that, 2023? You just missed that? I'm impressed. There you go. Swastikas and Confederate flags seen at Canada's Freedom Convoy. There you go. Look! The Confederate flag even has a big old truck on it. Oh, you were there and you just didn't see these flags? You just missed them, I guess? You didn't catch them? No? No? What about this one? No, you missed this one too? Yeah? Did you miss that one? Damn, it sure sucks when there's video evidence and images, doesn't it? No? Poilievre delivering donuts to the truckers? The truckers having, having Pierre Poilievre merch on the back of their trucks? Damn, this is really, really unfortunate, isn't it? This is also like disregarding the, which we've talked about before, disregarding the vandalism. Also, like the Russia money that has been confirmed that it was being paid for. What about let's see. This is also disregarding everything that they've actually said, right? How about the SS being there? No? That doesn't count either? What about the swastikas drawn onto the Canadian flag? No? Still not true? Still fake news? No, this doesn't make you uncomfortable? It doesn't make you uncomfortable that the guy who wants to be prime minister is in bed with Nazis? No? No, you're gonna run away? What about this one? Are you sure you were there? Were you one of these people waving these flags? The only one going la 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 is you, motherfucker. You know how quickly I was able to fucking show this? Not good. Is that not good enough? You want it more on an actual truck? What about this one? No? What about the Confederate flag on the trucks? No? Not good enough still? How many do you want? How about this one? With the Nazi flag on the ground. No? Still not good enough? What about this one? Truck with a Nazi flag. How many do you need? Who's the blind one here? Here's the one covering their eyes. You want more? No, this one doesn't count. This one doesn't count. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10. 11. 11 examples of traitorous Nazi horseshit that is supported by Pierre Poilievre. Ken, take the cum from Putin that you sucked out of Poilievre's asshole out of your mouth and actually fucking pay attention to the facts of the matter. You can't, Because guess what? Guess fucking what? You all knew. You said you were there. They were part of your protest. What about the truckers, by the way? What about the trucker convoy that was honking their horns and terrorizing the city that got sued and arrested? What about them? What about the truckers that were terrorizing people and did arson and locked off the doors to apartment buildings and set off fireworks? What about that? Is that not good enough for you? Still not good enough? Supporting that? Pierre Poilievre spoke out in support of these people while this was going on, while we've seen all of this going on. There's an investigation that confirmed that the trucker convoy was backed by Russia monetarily and by terrorist organizations monetarily. Did you not read the investigation? Are you too scared to read the investigation? Of course you are. Because Nazis are fucking cowards. So congratulations, Ken. We don't let Nazis here. So, bye!
We're going to also unleash our construction and our production of Canadian energy. We will build Canadian pipelines.
Alex makes a really good point too and says Ken is more uncomfortable being called out for being ambivalent to Nazis than he is actually being ambivalent to Nazis. You'd think it would have been like, wow, that's fucked up. Yeah, that's not cool. There shouldn't have been Nazi flags there. Because you know who didn't call out the Nazi flags? The truckers. Not a single fucking trucker was like, nah, fuck that, take that shit down. That didn't happen. The truckers were okay with them being there. So even if you do want to shift the goalposts and say that, oh, well, no trucker was really doing that. First off, how did you confirm that? How do you know that? You don't. You're just making that up. And two, how come the truckers didn't do anything to stop it? Why is it always the most ignorant people that insist you get educated? Because that's what ignorance comes with. Arrogance.
With Canadian steel to deliver Canadian energy.
The pipeline is a terrible investment plan that's not going to work. I've went over it before. I'm not going to go over it again here.
To the entire world for a change. Breaking our dependence on the Americans.
No, that's not what is requiring. That's not what our dependence on the Americans are. And besides, you can already see that our dependence on the Americans isn't all it's cracked up to be based on what Carney has done in response. So, this is a bad talking point when we're already, like, beyond this.
Making us strong, self-reliant, sovereign, so that we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to anyone who challenges us or takes us on. We're going to put Canada first for a change.
You notice how he hasn't named Trump yet at all and hasn't said one thing in, like contrast or, like, directly to say he's against Trump in this speech so far? He's also talked about the Liberals a whole bunch.
These are going to be incredible jobs. $200,000-$300,000 a year jobs. Jobs that feed...
Yeah, sorry. Nazi sympathizing and making excuses for Nazis is not acceptable here on this channel or in this chat. So Ken, the Nazi, Ken Collins, fuck off.
Families, jobs that buy homes, jobs that put good food on the table, jobs with beautiful pensions at the end of it all. That is the bright future that our workers have in store. The businesses...
How are you going to pay for their pensions if you cut all the taxes?
That will be supplying the materials and opening the nearby restaurants will boom. We're going to unlock the biggest economic boom in Canadian history.
How?
$1 trillion of extra economic growth.
How? Carney talked about fighting against Trump. This guy keeps saying he's fighting the Americans. Yeah. And even then, he's like barely saying fighting the Americans.
Bring home our jobs for a change.
You'll notice that he keeps saying bring home our jobs, but he's not actually talking about, like, outsourcing and, like, companies that have outsourced. He's not talking actually about outsourcing. Like, not once has he fucking brought that up. Natural resources. You mean, like, natural gas and oil, Jeff? Jeff, hey, don't get off, don't get off track. Do you mean natural resources? Are you talking about natural gas and oil? Is that what you mean when you say natural resources? I have to confirm because conservatives are fucking brain dead. So, is that what you mean? Need natural resources of oil and oil. Yeah. Because the answer is no. Like I said, I've already gone over this. The world is moving away from burning coal and oil and natural gases. The world is moving away from those things. So you're not going to have anybody to sell it to by the time the pipelines are finished. You don't know how long it takes to build a pipeline? So by the time these pipelines are actually finished and producing oil, not only are you looking at a market that's already got, it's already got flooded, you're also looking at a market that is dying. It's a market that's on its way out. It's a market that's at the end of its life. So spending a shitload of money, even if you did succeed in still selling it at as high as you could get, which it won't be 10 years from now, give or take, you're still never going to make your money back. It is a bad investment. You don't invest in something when it's at the peak and going down, because by the time you've actually built these pipelines, the price is going to be here and then here and then here and then here. So you're never going to make the amount of money that you had to spend. Yeah, 7 to 10 years to build. Exactly. So to invest in so many of them would not be good. By the way, the Liberals built a pipeline. The Conservatives always conveniently forget about that.
But in order to do it, we want you to bring those paychecks home to safe neighborhoods for a change.
I don't like that paychecks is spelt wrong. Alright, he's gonna bring up the fucking safe neighborhood again, so I will point at the chart. Point at the sign, point at the sign. Crime and justice statistics. Police crime reported database. No, hold on, that's not what I want. Oh, crime offices, crime severity index. Homicide rate down by 14.5% per 100,000. Let's see. Police reported crime. Loading. Here we go. Let's get a violent crime index. Here it is. This is violent crime. This is less than 0.00002%. Wow. Jeez. Save us, Poilievre, quick. I dislike hearing American talking points recycled into Canada. You would think the alt-right could be original. You would think, but they're not. This is all just fucking Trump talking points. He's just copying Trump. But Chesh, it's the American and therefore proper spelling. Yeah. We can't use bidets because all the water is being used to cook AI servers. Did you notice how Jeff on his alternate account came in and then ran away immediately? Because that definitely wasn't just the Nazi Ken Collins coming in on an alt account after the Nazi got banned. Because Nazis aren't fucking welcome here. Go figure.
Is there any crime around here?
Is there any crime around here? I mean, does this count as a crime? Because... Is there any crime around here? Guys, I'm very much a person. This is a very real thing that I can very much as a person relate to in my gated community with a bunch of security that I live in for free. Beep boop, scooby-doo, beat-a-bow. After he supported the criminal truckers, and when I say the criminal truckers, I mean they have literally been tried and convicted. Fashion crimes? Oh, pow, pow, pow. Oh my god.
Ron's a police officer. You're seeing any crime these days? Every day? You want to come up and tell us real quick? This is Ron Chinzer, our candidate.
Bro, you're gonna bring a cop up to talk about yo, here, real quick. Fuck the police. Oh no. Oh my god. This is, by the way, with Pierre Poilievre wanting to institute the notwithstanding clause. So suspending your rights and freedoms. If you want to talk about, like, because I know one of the things that has been coming up in the chat from conservatives is saying we want less government imposing themselves and less the government controlling our lives. They haven't actually ever told me how the government is controlling their life. But if we take that, for example, the notwithstanding clause suspends your freedoms. And his reasoning, Poilievre's reasoning for wanting to implement this is so he could protect your other freedoms. So that is literally the government out loud saying that they're going to take your freedoms away from you. And this is also notwithstanding, pun, Poilievre saying that he wants to put more people in prison, which is more bureaucracy and busier courts. That's just flooding the fucking court system. And more cops, which is more government oversight, and that is more cops controlling what you can and cannot do, on top of the one of the policies that Harper instituted that he wants to bring back, that when it went through our justice system was deemed non-constitutional. Breaking news, cop sees crime every day. Coming tomorrow, we ask a dairy farmer if they've seen a cow recently. Hello, fellow human, do you have crime? Everything computer! Oh my god, this is so bad. No wonder they pulled Poilievre from all the fucking advertisement. Holy shit. He's so bad at this. You'd think that being a politician for 20 years would make you good at being a politician. Good fucking god. Schrodinger's government. Smaller and bigger government. More spending for those taxes he wants to cut. Yeah, if you do more policing and you want more people in jail, then you're spending more money. How are you going to pay for it? And if you're not if you're firing all your consultants, who are you consulting about these changes? What experts are you calling in? None. Zero. The Conservative Party has the current Conservative Party and conservatives have disdain for education. They disdain facts. They have a disdain for intellect. And it shows, and it's obvious. Enjoy crayon munching. God! Guys, what's gonna happen when when the Liberals win a majority government? If the Liberals win a majority government, how fucking hard are the Conservatives gonna fucking cry? Like, how fucking hard? Like, on a scale of, like, 1 to 10, where on the baby rage or you think they're gonna fall? Because so far right now, the conservatives that I've seen come by here are starting at about a 7 to me, baby rage. Yeah, experts just asked Trump set tariffs to 9,000% on China and live off the trillions of new government income. The problem with the conservatives right now is not only their disdain for education, but also the pride in their ignorance. These people are proud to be fucking stupid. And they should be ashamed and embarrassed for being fucking stupid. The fact that that person came in, the Nazi came in swinging saying there were no Nazis there, and then goalpost shifted to, oh, well, they weren't really the truckers, even though there's literally Nazi flags and shit all over these fucking trucks with Poilievre shit to say that, oh, it didn't have anything to do with Poilievre except for the Poilievre. Proof? Is there proof? Gee, I don't know if there's a literal Nazi flag on a truck at the trucker rally. Rigged elections. Oh my god. Yeah, the crime wave. Look out. It's coming right for us. Fucking ridiculous. I don't care what the cop has to say. I'm skipping the cop. Fuck the police. Pathological. Yeah, that's a good word for it. I have a question for any conservative out there watching this at any point in time. Do you think that a leader is not changing your mind so a good quality in a leader? Do you think that somebody who is 17, for example, just a random number, if somebody who is 17 years old should be in charge of the government? On average. I'm not to say it's impossible, but do you, as a conservative, do you think that a 17-year-old would have good ideas and be able to competently run the government? Next question. Do you think that the world stage and the economic forum and both globally and nationally that Canada has seen change in the last 17 years? You think anything about Canada has changed? Or, like, society has changed in the last, 17 years, do you think? Because the reasonable answer to both of these questions is no and yes. And so if your answers are no and yes, which would be, very reasonable answers, do you really think that Poilievre is the guy for you, Jeff over here? Do you think Jeff, because Jeff has gone on record and said out loud that he hasn't changed any of his ideas of what he wants to do since he was 17. How many years has it been since Poilievre was 17? I can assure you it's more than 17 years. You want to know? Do you want to know how old? Jeff Poilievre. Poilievre. All right, Jeff, when were you born? Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. He was born in 1979. He's 45 years old. So what's 45 minus 17? It's 28. Do you think that anything in Canada has changed in the last 28 years? That maybe whatever idea you had when you were 17 might not necessarily be feasible, and you might learn something or change your mind in 28 years about something? Do you have any idea how unreasonable this man is? That's insane. I'm not going to entertain that as if that's even remotely normal. That's weird. That's bizarre. That makes absolutely no sense. And again, we're back to not a quality you want in a leader. Yeah, I was being generous for 17 years being 2008. But when he was 17 years old, it wasn't 2008. He's 45. If you want to find out how old he was what year it was when he was 17, you would just say plus 17 of whatever I said, 79, I think I said. I said 79, right? Yeah, 79. So 79 plus... 1979, whoops, plus 17, 1996. Guys, do you think the world has changed at the turn of the millennium? You think? Maybe? Social media has been invented? There's been no changes since fucking 1997 or 1998 or 1996. Guys, nothing. Huh? Really? Are you insane? You'd have to be such a fucking loser to vote for this dude, I'm not gonna lie. Bro hasn't changed his mind since you were born, apparently. Poilievre claimed out loud that he hasn't changed his mind in 17 years. Hold on, let me pull up the let me pull that up too. Why not? We're here. Hold on. Let me pull it up for you. 1 second. Uh, 3 months. He said this. God,
business investment of the United States divided by the.
It's only been 3 months since he said this. It's only been 3 months. Oh my god, I can't believe that. So let's grab the transcript. All right, yeah, transcript. Let it load. All right, we're gonna search. Let's go. Here it is.
Slogans. Well, I look back at everything I've done for my entire political career to the time I was a teenager. You know, some people even dug up my old university essays, and I've been saying precisely the same thing the entire time. You know, when I was 20, I wrote an essay as Prime Minister I would, and the title was Building Canada on Freedom. And the entire piece was about making the government small and maximizing personal freedom. So that's basically what I'm doing now.
So he's going to maximize personal freedom by putting more by doing more policing, by using the non-withstanding clause to give you less freedoms, and by regulating women's bodies and dictating your child's health care. Dictating your child's health care. As well as removing any rights or accessibility that you have to fight against discrimination.
Well, there were things.
Yes, I am angry. I'm absolutely angry at the idea of children not getting snacks when they are going through chemotherapy for 8 hours a day. Why aren't you angry about that? And yes, I am angry about the idea of the government telling me getting involved in my marriage is. Absolutely, the government has no place telling me, dictating who I'm allowed to marry, or if I'm getting married, or when I'm getting married. Absolutely, I think that it is massive government overreach to be getting into something that has nothing to do with them. Of course I'm angry that the idea of a 17-year-old who hasn't learned anything in 28 years wants to fucking do shit. And yeah, I'm angry about fucking Nazis in my fucking country. And yes, I'm angry about this fucking weenie going around dick-sucking Donald Trump. And yes, I'm angry about municipalities being run by conservatives going bankrupt in Alberta. Yeah, I'm angry about that. Why aren't you? You should be angry. And yes, I'm angry about this man trying to con people into thinking a 2 to 3% tax cut is going to make housing affordable when it obviously will not, and will cost people 120 years worth of savings us to be able to afford a down payment, which completely negates the idea of cutting the sales tax. Of course. And yes, I'm angry that this man is an absolute fucking hypocrite. Why aren't you?
We're going to support our police. Everybody give it up for the great police officers who keep us safe.
Fuck the police. Oh, by the way, I would like to remind everybody, friendly reminder, the police do not prevent crime, they respond to it. Police are not preventative, they're responsive, so adding more police will not bring crime rate down. In fact, it will likely increase crime rate. Because you're removing social securities and social programs that actually do reduce crime rates and then funneling that money into the police instead of actually and actually, which is not fair to the police, because now you're asking the police to handle and deal with situations that they're not equipped to deal with, and it's actually more dangerous for our police officers. But anyway, fuck the police. Tom Earl says, good evening everyone, and remember, small government, but your entire well-being should depend on what the government is doing. Yep, yeah, yeah. Self-contradictory. I have yet to run into a conservative that is not contradicting themselves.
After the lost Liberal decade of rising crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder, we cannot risk a fourth Liberal...
I'm gonna tap the sign. Yes, the rise in crime and drug chaos. Wow.
Liberal term. We have to reverse the policies that got us into this mess. Liberal law C-75 requires judges release the earliest opportunity and under the least onerous restrictions. That has caused...
Yeah, so they can get back into society and pay taxes?
For Vancouver police to have to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times.
That is not accurate. Oh my god. This is not... This is distilled down to the point of dishonesty. Let's grab the fact check for it. Oh, wow, go figure. Poilievre is exploiting public safety fears to troll for law and order voters. Press conference in Edmonton last week, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre claimed that after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and the costly coalition with the NDP, Trudeau and the NDP have caused a crime wave with policies that allow the same repeat violent offenders loose in our streets. Poilievre continued to say that the worst disorder, drug abuse, crime, and chaos are in places, quote, run by woke NDP liberal mayors and premiers whose policies have unleashed a wicked crime spree across the country, end quote. Poilievre even brought some statistics to back up his claim, saying that in Vancouver, the same 40 people were arrested 6,000 times last year. I would like to point out, this is from April 2023. This has been debunked for 2 years. Classic catch and release bail, said Poilievre. Of course, all of this is nonsense. Let's start with the worrying about crime data. It is notoriously complex. Arbitrary endpoints, cherry-picked data, and small sample sizes can all be exploited by political grifters looking to stoke fear. What is clear is that, historically speaking, we live in one of the safest periods in history. Canada's Crime Survey Index, a measure of seriousness of police reported crime, has decreased by 6% in the last decade and by a staggering 31% since 2000. This reality can be lost when we focus too narrowly on monthly or yearly numbers. For example, there was an increase in national violent crime from 2018 to 2019, but the crime severity index also increased by more than 5% the last year the Harper and Conservatives were in power. But nuance and honesty don't make for easy political talking points. What about these woke NDP mayors and premiers who seem to love crime? Poilievre dropped the word woke not because it has anything to do with crime, but as a dog whistle to his supporters. It is a word devoid of meaning, except as a cover for his lack of understanding of justice policy. Because the reality is that outside of the territories, the conservative heartland of Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan have the highest crime rate and violent crime rates in Canada. Outside of the territories, the conservative heartland of Manitoba, Alberta, and Saskatchewan have the highest crime and violent crime rates in Canada. British Columbia, singled out by Poilievre as a woke dystopia, saw the second biggest drop in violent crime in Canada from 2020 to 2021. Violent crime also decreased in Vancouver in 2021 under NDP Mayor Kennedy Stewart, but that wouldn't fit Poilievre's narrative. Crime rates in Ontario and Ottawa increased in 2021. I suppose we can blame the notoriously woke John Troy and Jim Watson for that. Conservatives. In 2021, the rate of violent offenses, including assault, murder, attempted murder, and other violent interactions, excluding sexual assault, was lower last year than in some years under Harper's conservative government. But looking at the numbers gives Poilievre and his surrogates too much credit. Because we know they don't know how to do math. None of this is about data or genuine concern for the safety of our communities. Instead, it is part of a political confidence trick using public safety concerns to sow fear and troll for votes. Poilievre's claim made in the context of a press conference about violent crime that 40 people were arrested 6,000 times last year in Vancouver, and I am choosing my words carefully here, is bullshit. If true, it would mean that on average these people were arrested 150 times in 1 year. Oh wow, the math not working out when you actually do the math? Go fucking no, that would never happen. Almost once every other day. I have never seen anything like this in criminal court over 2 decades. No one has. Even 150 charges per year, assuming multiple charges per arrest, is unheard of. At this rate, anyone who is committing violent or any criminal offenses is not getting bail. But perhaps Poilievre is misrepresenting the data and meant 6,000 interactions with police, which is very different from arrests and does nothing to support Poilievre's contention that there is a catch-and-release problem driving violent crime, which decreased in Vancouver anyway. If the numbers are accurate, I suspect negative interactions means minor property offenses, police harassment, bylaw tickets, and other non-violent and non-criminal offenses. The New York Times published an article based on NYPD self-reporting that 327 people were arrested 6,000 times for shoplifting offenses. This rate is an order of magnitude lower than the numbers Poilievre was throwing around. Poilievre was not in Edmonton to make a shoplifting announcement. He was there to misrepresent the data and the criminal justice system to score political points. It's calculated, it is disingenuous, and it does an injustice to the critical conversations we should have about criminal justice policy. The blue links are the citations. Go ahead. This statement has been debunked thoroughly for 2 years. Yeah, I'm angry that this piece of shit liar is lying about Vancouver. Yeah, I'm mad that this piece of shit is lying about the police force so he can fuck everybody over. Yeah, I'm mad about it. Why aren't you? 'Cause you should be.
Means that each one of these guys was arrested once every 2 days for an entire year, meaning they were basically doing nothing but
Show the police record then. Show it. Pull up the police record for these people.
crime all day long. My friends...
Wow, it's amazing that he actually presents this in a way that makes it sound as insane as it actually is. Yeah, they'd have to be arrested every other day, which means they're doing nothing but crime all day long. These people don't even fucking sleep. You understand how insane this sounds. This is batshit. This Nazi fucking sympathizing fuck. You want to talk about crime? What about these guys that you were supporting, Poilievre? Right here. No?
In Penticton, there's one guy who does so much crime that when he is out of jail, the crime rate for the entire city actually goes up. Can you imagine that? One.
So now we know that Poilievre doesn't know how statistics work. Bro, the way numbers work is every person doing a crime make number go up because you're counting number of people doing crime. You fucking idiot. He literally just asked, can you imagine counting? I don't know, guys. Can you imagine counting? 1, 2, 3,
One guy can raise the entire crime rate. I mean,
yes! That's how it works! Also, citation. What's his name? Let's look it up. What's the name of the city? Let's look it up. How big is the population of the city?
these guys work nonstop. They have no benefits. They're not unionized. They do get room and board. They don't pay taxes. They do have room and board at the penitentiary where they stay for a very short time.
So you mean that they're out on the streets paying taxes? So if any of these criminals, these catch and release criminals are working a job, or if they buy anything, and they have to buy things, like, you understand this, right? Like, these people have to eat, and these people have to live somewhere, which means they're paying taxes. And if they're in jail, they're not going to be paying taxes. So if you take more people off the street, that's less tax dollars, right? You do one crime more today than yesterday, the crime rate of the whole country goes up. That's how math works. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go figure, right? Math? Counting? Fucking Jeff, brother. Conservatives are clapping for this. Conservatives don't understand math at all. They're not capable of conversation, as we've shown every fucking day that we've been doing these. They can't do math, as we've shown every fucking day while we've doing. They shoplift haircuts. They shoplift haircuts. They shoplift their rent. They shoplift their internet and their Wi-Fi. Does bro not realize that people steal to sell the shit they steal to eat? No, he doesn't. He doesn't realize that no, he doesn't. No, they're fucking stupid, dude. I don't think I can express how fucking dumb you have to be to have voted for this fucking person. Like, I have no idea how to tell you how absolutely batshit brain dead you have to be to have voted for this dumb as bricks motherfucker. He's literally telling you he doesn't know how to do math, and you're sitting here gonna be like, yeah, he's gonna do something about our housing. Yeah, he's gonna do something about the economy. Bro doesn't know how to count. Bro doesn't know that number go up mean number go up. Unbelievable, dude. Let's say all this is true for the sake of argument. That means that that there's a crime problem, and locking up people has never and will never deal with the issues. It just costs more magic money. Yeah, good point. Don't be doing bricks such a dirty. Yeah, okay, fair enough. At least bricks are useful. You can do things with bricks. You can have a lot of fun with a bag of bricks. Fair enough. I will take the criticism. I will take the correction. But yeah, no, that literally doesn't make any sense. He uses the Canadian government as personal piggy bank. Yeah, right, exactly. I like, number go up mean number go up, guys. Can you believe that? What? Good God. The people, all the people in this room at this rally said they already voted for him. Could you imagine voting for this man, not realizing, and then he comes up and goes up on stage and says, "Number go up, me number go up." And you're just like, oh, fuck. Can I take my vote back? Could you imagine coming into my fucking side chat, supporting this man, saying, yeah, Jeff for Prime Minister, and then he says number go up, will number go up? Are you embarrassed yet? Guys, number, big, go. Uppies. Unreal.
It's like the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave because they're back the next day.
That's not how the lyrics for that goes. They check out, but they never really leave. Welcome to the Hotel California.
My friends, it's a very simple problem to solve when a tiny group of people do all the crime. And we have a solution in our plan for change. And this is that we're going to be passing it into law with the Safe Streets for a Change Act. We will repeal catch and release bail, C-75. Repeal.
Hey, in your term of government, by the way, was Poilievre not in office when this was implemented? Yeah, he was. That was 2018. Of course he botches pop culture references. Yeah, of course he does. Modernizes and clarifies bail provisions, provides an enhanced approach to administration for justice offices, including for youth, abolishes preemptory challenges of jurors and modifies the process for challenging a juror for cause and of judicial standby, restricts the availability of preliminary inquiries, streamlines the classification of offenses, expands judicial case management power, enhances measures to better respond to interpartner violence, provides additional is this the part that's supposed to help cops? Provides additional measures to reduce criminal justice system delays and to make the criminal law and the criminal justice system clearer and more efficient, restores judicial discretion in imposing victim surcharges, facilitates human trafficking prosecution, and allows for the possibility of property forfeiture, removes provisions that have been ruled unconstitutional by SCC, and makes consequential amendments to other acts. So by repealing this and removing it, you are going to demodernize and make the bail provisions less clear. You are going to de-enhance the approach to administration justice offices, including for children. You're going to bring back challenges of jurors and repeal, like, retroactively or not retroactively, what's the word I'm looking for? Not regurgitate, but roll back the modifications that made the process better. You're going to remove restrictions for preliminary inquiries, which means you're going to get a lot more preliminary inquiries that may or may not be accurate or good. You're going to unstreamline the classification of offenses, so you're going to make them more difficult. You're going to restrict judicial case management power. You're going to... So that's more bureaucracy and more government interfering, which is the opposite of what every conservative who's come in here says that they want. You're going to de-enhance measures to better respond to interpartner violence. So you're going to make responding to interpartner violence worse. You're going to increase criminal justice delays. You're removing this. You're setting this backwards. You're going to get rid of judicial discretion in imposing victim surcharges. You're going to enable human trafficking prosecution. Sorry, you're going to disable human trafficking prosecution and remove the possibility of property forfeiture. You're going to add provisions in that have been ruled as unconstitutional? Are you fucking serious? Actually, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take all this and you're gonna take all these things that are getting rid of unconstitutional shit and you're gonna throw it in the fucking garbage. Are you fucking stupid? Yes, the answer is yes, you're a fucking conservative. Here's the citation if you want to read through the whole thing. Go for it.
We will repeal house arrest and make it so that serious offenders serve their sentences behind bars rather than in their living room. We will repeal.
That is going to cost taxpayers more money.
The get out of jail free card, C83, that allows Bernardo out of a maximum security penitentiary. We're going to put him back in the
83, eh? What's it called?
Rather than in their living room. We will repeal the get out of jail free card, C83, that allows
C83. Hey, you know what happens when somebody gets life? The Conditional Release Act. So you're just going to remove any conditions for release for somebody? Can you guys read that out loud and tell me what that means? Are you guys noticing something about this? Have you noticed it? Let me know when you notice it. I'm just leaving this on screen long enough so you can read it and figure it out. The year is part of it. Have you guys noticed? Hey, April, you've got it. This is not currently an active bill. This is something that's been being discussed. This is not actually an active thing that is happening right now. So Poilievre's this catch and release bill that's causing all these problems is not actually an active bill that is actually happening. Landon, you missed it. Poilievre figured out that when number go up, then number go up. Can you imagine? When you add 1 to 1, you get 2. Yeah. Can you believe it? Could you believe it? I couldn't believe it. We will repeal the get out of jail free card C-83 that allows this person to do this thing. The bill that's not implemented right now. The bill that's been tabled. The bill that is not currently active? That bill? Or are you talking about a different bill? Hey, conservative. Hey, Nazi fuckhead. Come no, I'm just kidding. Don't come back, Nazi fuckhead. In fact, go away forever. No, brick. Get out of here. I'm going to start talking about anytime a Nazi comes in here and a Nazi gets banned, can we call it getting bricked, please? Thank you very much. So instead of like throwing the spanner at them, can we please use brick? Thank you very much. That's going to be our thing, getting brick. We're going to brick them. Brick. I'll make a proper brick emoji for us. When something happens, the amount of instances of that thing increases. Mind-blowing stuff. Yeah, really. Wacky. Fucking wow. Are the conservatives embarrassed yet? No, of course they're not.
Bernardo out of a maximum security penitentiary. We're going to put him back in the max pen where he will stay.
You do realize not being maximum penitentiary doesn't mean you're out on the street, right? You could go from maximum security and get out of maximum security to go to, like, regular jail, which doesn't mean you're free and on the street to do whatever the fuck you want. Same with house arrest, by the way. House arrest doesn't mean you're free to go and do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, so I don't know what the fuck he seems to be equating that you have the potential to get out of jail as bad overall, because he doesn't want any kind of reform which lowers crime rate and brings people out of the jail system to pay taxes and be productive members of society, and he doesn't want to properly review the bail process, which would, if you remove the bail process, you end up taking a lot of money out of the government again. So we're back to, okay, how are you going to pay for the jails, or are you going to privatize those too? Because we know how well privatized jailing works in America, right? It's definitely not one of the most disgusting practices I've ever seen, right?
We will pass 3 strikes, you're outlaw, 3 offenses, and you go away for at least 10 years, no bail, parole, probation, or house arrest, and you only ever get out with perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and learning an employable skill. You're only
How are you getting a not clean drug test in jail, dumb fuck? How are you getting how are drugs getting into jail? First question. Second question, is this not the exact thing that Harper tried to implement and it was deemed unconstitutional? So how is this a change? How is this Canada for a change if you want to bring back stuff that Harper did? Harper, who was so disliked that he lost so badly that the Conservatives didn't even get the opposition. And was so disliked because he was implementing things that were non-constitutional. And the crime rates and the justice system got bogged down. We tried this, and it failed spectacularly.
getting out of jail when you're ready to contribute to society, not to reoffend ever again. For a change.
Do you think that just locking people up changes people, or do you think you actually need some kind of social program and rehabilitation? And why do you need to be in jail to be able to participate in that thing and not working and not paying taxes and not contributing? Like, again, we're back to the conservative says he wants this thing and then does the thing that is the opposite that's going to get him the thing that he says he wants.
For a change. We will secure our borders. We must secure the borders, the liberal borders.
Oh my god, the liberal borders, are you fucking kidding me? Can you sound any more like fucking Trump? Actually. I'll check Bill C-83, right? It's Bill C-83, I'll check it again. I see Bill C-83 could worsen the rights. Bill C-83, worsen the rights situation for people in prison. That this bill is, like, not popular. That the experts say probably ain't good. This is from the Senate of Canada. Research publication, Library of Parliament. Conditional corrections and conditional release. You do realize that what Poilievre, by the way, just described, regardless of if there's some other Bill C-83, so if there, I'm more than happy to be corrected if this is something that, and I'm just not seeing the right thing. Regardless, you do realize that Poilievre just listed conditions that somebody could get released, right? So that means that getting released and out early and on parole and on bail are still things that are going to be able to happen under the conservative leadership. So he's not actually changing anything. He's still adding catch and release. He's still saying terms and conditions, which is exactly what this bill says. Corrections and conditional release. So what's the fucking problem? But he's not giving specifics or how he's gonna implement it. What the actual fuck?
Borders allow 99% of shipping containers to come in uninspected. That's where the guns, drugs, and stolen cars move. We will
99% of shipping is not checked. Oh man, you're not gonna give it to me. Hold on. Nope. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Let's see, what's this one? Deeply hypocritical, Pierre Poilievre slammed illegal border crossers, but his own relative crossed and stayed. Oh yeah, there's a big question about his wife and his uncle-in-law or whatever. His uncle got through the border and into Canada through questionable means. So I'm not seeing a specific number for this. I am seeing, like, the AI is telling me the claim that 99% of shipping is not checked at the Canadian border has not been directly addressed in the provided context. The context does include fact-checking efforts for various claims by Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party leaders in the 2025 election. Shipping Canadian. Let's see if I shorten it. See if I can find something else. Nope. Let's take out this part. When shipping to Canada, you must declare all goods and you are bringing with you into the country at Canada's Border Service Agency. If you were shipping from the United States and Canada, you can use services like Purolator to make the process simpler. Uh-huh. So, needless to say, 99 sounds like a horseshit number, I'm not gonna lie. So, if anybody's got a citation for that one, you guys let me know.
Bring in high-powered scanners to look into those shipping containers.
How are you gonna pay for them? That's spending more government money, by the way, and that is that is bigger government because you have to hire more people to do it, and you're gonna have to hire more consultants and more professionals to make sure that the job gets done correctly and implemented properly. So how are you gonna do that?
Watchtowers along the frontier, 2,000 more CBSA officers who will be...
That's more government spending. That's 2,000 more. That's more government workers. That's more bureaucracy. That's bigger government, guys. Bigger government.
Be able to inspect and block the contraband from coming in. And we will pay for it by canceling the wasteful multi-billion-dollar liberal gun grab.
What? You mean the gun buyback program? Oh my god. Alright. You think it's wasteful? Sure, why not? Let's see how much money that is. I'm assuming he means the gun buyback program, which is $65 million. So how much does... Let me double check here. So let's see. He said 2,000 more CBSA officers, right? $66 to $89K a year. Oh, hey, guess what? So the average makes actually 55 per year. So if we take the average border agent making 55K a year, they're not going to get a big enough tax cut to their income tax to be able to afford a house down payment from the math we did earlier. All right, but let's call it $55,000 a year, right? So let's do the math. $55,000 a year multiplied by 2,000 new agents. That's $111,000. How long are you going to implement this for? Because you would have to have it implemented for... What did it say? 67. So let's say 110,000, 67 200,000. Nope. 67. Yeah, 67.2, right? Let's just call it 67. Divided by 110,123. Boom. And so how much is the equipment going to cost us? So if we say, what do you say? High-powered scanners. A high-powered scanner. Portable desktop scanner. No. That's not going to be the kind of scanner we're looking for. We're looking for a high-powered handheld border scanner. Handheld metal detector, I guess. Super scanner, handheld metal detector. How much does one of these cost? I have no idea. Cost. The super scanner. Ah! Border scanners go on. Oh my god, border scanners go unused. Border scanners go unused in fight against fentanyl smuggling. Yo, but how much is a border scanner? Because I want to know how much this gay man wants to spend. We got to do our own research, right? Border scanners. How much do they cost? Cost. Man, it doesn't want to tell me. Ah, man, that's too bad. Anyway. He really does want Canada to become the 51st state, doesn't he? Yeah. Hey, Chesh, do you want some guns for the government to buy back? Yeah. 65 million is peanuts for some of the saved lives in Canada. Yeah, I would agree. 1.2 million each? Actually, that's a lot of money. Damn. Damn. Yeah, I don't think those numbers add up. If you're a conservative and you think these numbers add up, can you show me your math and citation, please? Because I'm not seeing it.
Officers who will be able to inspect and block the contraband from coming in.
So you gotta pay them, you gotta pay their pension, you've gotta pay their tax cut that they're getting, you gotta pay their equipment, you've gotta pay their housing tax cut that you're gonna give them, supposedly. You gotta pay for their uniforms and their workstations.
And we will pay for it by canceling the wasteful multi-billion-dollar liberal gun grab.
At least that's close to something that you might be able to question the Liberal Party on, but I don't think you can question Carney on it. Carney hasn't talked about guns, so outside of wanting less contraband guns coming from America, right? Like he wants less illegal guns coming from America, and his border plan is a lot more serious and specific than Poilievre's is. But so they're saying the same thing in that regard. The Liberal Party, as of right, like the current Liberal Party, hasn't talked about gun grabs, if that's what you want to call them. And it was specifically a ban on a specific type of handgun. So if you want to talk about that gun shouldn't be banned, then you need to talk about that. Right? It seems like this is supposed to be some kind of gotcha, and I'm not really sold on it. Did I just hear a train horn?
That's the Change Express. That's the Change Express.
Oh, good point. Hawkskull says it also takes about 20 minutes to scan a container, so each scanner can do 72 scans a day. How many shipping containers come into Canada every day? I'll take rounded to the nearest 10,000. Let's find out, actually. How many shipping containers come into Canada per day? So this is from Freightify. Nah, that's talking about actually shipping. Hold on. I want to know the actual freight transportation. Containing the price, shipping containers to Canada. No, everything's trying to sell me shipping containers. I want to know how. Oh, here's a chart. Hey, here's a chart. Yahoo! Despite the global pandemic, ensuing recession, and a ramp-up in demand, the total cargo volumes handled at 17 port authorities decreased by only 0.5 in 2020, from 148.1 million tons in 2019 to 346.3 million tons in 2020. Western Canada, Port of Vancouver is the busiest port, handled 0.9% more tons of freight in 2020, 145.5 million tons in the first quarter of 2020. Everything's in tons. I mean, that's really interesting, but I'm kind of looking for, like, a number. We have a number? Rail. Grain. Oil going out, grain coming in, if I'm reading that correctly. Container chain support. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow, look, it's going up. Growth, go figure, who'd have thought. Waka. Air cargo. All right, so I guess we do this by weight, and I guess we'd have to take the average weight of a shipping container. Or do I need to look at, like, each specific tonnage? Port, largest container port in Eastern Canada, handles all types of goods, to view by tonnage. So you have to view them by tons, which is kind of up to 2,500. How about that? How about that? 2,000 vessels per year. Right? And then 2,500 trucks per day. So if each truck is one container and it takes 20 minutes for 2,500 trucks, and you can only do 75 in a day, you're going to greatly, I think what we kept to is you're going to greatly disrupt the supply chain. Holy shit. Oh my god. And that's not including, like, that is only the border. That's just the border. Most cargo comes through the fucking ports, not the fucking southern border, dude. So that's gonna do next to nothing. Oh my god. Like, for actual security. 60 to 80 trains per week. And then that's like, how many per train? Are you stopping the trains? 6.8 million tons by train. Oh my fucking god. And you can only do 75. Alright, so we're back to the Conservatives don't know how to do math. Wow.
And this lady says she's not a criminal because she goes hunting. Hunting rifles are not the problem. Liberals want to ban your hunting rifle.
Citation. Where do the Liberals ever say they wanted to ban hunting rifles? Where? Yep. There's no hunting rifle ban. The only place that says anything about banning hunting rifles is the National Post media. You know, the bought and paid for MAGA says that some guns used for hunting might get caught up in a gun ban set forward by liberals. Yeah, that's not banning hunting rifles, asshole. Is lying fall under the good leadership traits along right beside hypocrisy? Which one's more important to you as a conservative for a good leader? The lying or the hypocrisy? What's your priority here? Which one is worth more to you? So yeah, that is a lie that has been bought and paid for by American MAGA. Look, I'll show you. Well, check it out. Look. Let me show you. Liberals banning hunting rifles is what I searched. National Post. Conservatives. Toronto Sun. National Post.
Want to protect Canadians from criminals. The Liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. You decide what makes more sense to you.
Part of what makes something funny is it being true. That's how comedy tends to work. Or it has to go into absurdism. You being a malicious little twat isn't funny. They want to take away my hunting machine gun. Yeah, you need an AR-15 to hunt, you suck at hunting.
And then with Protect the Hunters, you get the message out to all those who enjoy hunting that they will lose their ability to do that if the Liberals get that fourth term. But conservatives...
Yeah, send this lie out, plebeians, that I just told you without fact-checking it or giving you any kind of citation for anything that I'm talking about. Go and spread that misinformation for me real quick.
We'll protect your rights. We will stand with law-abiding people and rather put the criminals in jail where they belong. And we will stop
with the due process that they're planning on suspending.
Stop the drugs. By the way, we will stop the drugs which have been raging out of control on our streets. We've lost 50,000 people to drug overdoses.
To help save lives, government, blah, 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 updated December 2024 about the overdose crisis. Snapshot of overdose since 2016. So this 50,000 number is coming from since 2016. Can these people be fucking honest about anything? Ever? Like, wouldn't it be nice to check something that this motherfucker says and have it actually be somewhat true? Can't pay my rent, Hovind. Can't Atheist said, oh my god, Non Sequitur Show went live with Why I Am MAGA. Well, you know, maybe I'll take a look at that next week. How about that? Good fucking lord.
Precious souls, brothers, sisters, friends, neighbors who made a mistake, got hooked on the drugs.
Oh, so now they've made a mistake and they don't deserve to be in jail? I thought you said all the criminals deserve to be in jail, Poilievre. Jeff, you just said all the criminals need to be in jail where they belong. Using illicit drugs is illegal. Would that not? You said drug crime, did you not? You said they had to be clean from drugs, did you not? Did you not just list that? You just said that all of these brothers, sisters, friends, and souls, whoever, were doing fucking drugs and should be in jail. And now you're turning around and saying, oh, they just made a mistake. They just made a mistake. Don't send the criminals to jail now. Can you fucking make up your mind? Jason asked, I'm assuming you're asking me if I think the NDP will survive. I think the NDP will, I don't know if they're going to have I don't know if they're going to have enough seats this term to be to maintain official party status, but I think they'll be back next election. If that answers your question.
You lost your daughter? Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Yes?
Oh my god, I really hope that at least wasn't staged and that was actually real, because there's been so much stage shit by this piece of fuck that I would not be surprised if that wasn't actually a real person saying anything real.
Yesterday when I was in, the other day I was in British Columbia, if I could, everyone. I was in BC the other day. And we had
he can't control his own crowd. He wants to be somber, and his group is chanting. He asked them to settle down, and they're not listening.
A wonderful couple show me the picture of a loved one. I walked 5
there
steps
they go. They
down
settled
the
down
line
now.
at a rally just like this one. Another lady holding up the picture of her brother. And then down the line to the very end, and a woman told me she lost her husband. None of these people were related. Everywhere
These are all people you just said you would send to jail with no recourse. You just said you would have sent them all to jail.
I see these tragedies and the pain on the faces of the people who survive. We know what to do. We know that we can turn around addiction and turn people's lives around. get them off the drugs and back with their
Guys, no we don't. That's one of the problems with addiction, is there's a lot of different causes to it, and addiction isn't that easy to beat. And the way you have less addiction and less drug uses is through social programs. This is a fact. And this man wants to cut all of those social programs and just send everybody to jail. How are you going to get help not being a drug addict when all you get to do is go to jail for 10 years and then 3 strikes you're out? With no bail, ever. That doesn't get people off of drugs. That doesn't make people not drug addicts. That doesn't help people. Oh my fucking god. Like, these aren't, I'm not making numbers up. I'm not appealing to emotion. These are facts. There are studies about this. But why would we listen to the professionals? Why would we listen to science? Why would we listen to numbers? We don't know how to read. We're too busy eating crayons and shoving them up our fucking nose. My brain is itchy. My favorite color to scratch with is purple. And yeah, good point. America tried what he's suggesting. We called it the war on drugs. It's considered a failure. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
families. And that's why conservatives have a plan to invest in treating 50,000 of our fellow Canadians with recovery, detox, counseling, group therapy.
You just said you were going to send them to jail. You just said you were going to send them to jail. With no way out. And now how are you going to pay for these things? You just said you were going to cut all this stuff. And cut all the funding to this. And you just said what the Liberals are doing doesn't work, but that's what's been going on. This is the same motherfucker who calls safe injection sites drug dens. He calls them government fucking enforced and government paid for drug dens. Huh? What?
Exercise.
Physical exercise? Guys, we're gonna solve addiction by jogging. Guys, get on that treadmill. We're gonna solve your addiction problem. What? Some people need forced sobriety, but it shouldn't be the only tool in the toolbox. Yeah, absolutely. Addiction is not a one-size-fits-all scenario. It doesn't work like that. People don't work like that. The things that are proven to work are things that work ahead of time, not things that work after the fact. Everything he listed, recovery, detox, counseling, group therapy, and physical exercise, which is laughable and ridiculous, and it clearly means he's not serious or doesn't know anything about drug addiction. Those are things you do afterwards. The things that help with drug addiction and help with drug use is things doing stuff ahead of time. Social programs, socioeconomic status, stability, access to therapy and medical treatment early and in your life, just in general. Those are the things that help prevent drug use and help prevent people from turning to drugs in the first place. All of this is trying to do some shit after the fact. 50 burpees equal 1 joints. Poilievre math. Yeah, that's actually a good question. How many burpees do I need to do to not be a drug addict anymore? Based on what drugs, by the way? Does it change based on which drug it is? Your riding in Winnipeg is almost guaranteed to stay NDP. Nice. We actually looked at, I don't know if you saw it, but one of the things that when I was covering this, one of the things we looked at was a poll that actually looked at Alberta, and they put Manitoba and Saskatchewan together, but looked at Alberta as its own. And if you combine the left and right, so if you just make it left and right, they're actually really, really close to each other. There's a little bit more conservative than there is, or there's a little bit more right than there is left, but it's actually really close. It's just that the vote is divided in the left-leaning vote is divided in Alberta. It's not coalesced, whereas the conservative vote is coalesced. And by my guess of things, that likely might not be the case after this election. I hope it's not, at least. But yeah, jog a mile to get rid of your drug addiction. You got an alcohol addiction problem, you're not doing enough push-ups.
I went to
That's actually disgusting, by the way. That's actually a really fucking insanely gross, misinformed, ignorant thing to fucking say, both about drug addicts and about recovery. So that's actually, like, incredibly malicious.
one of these incredible facilities in Moncton the other day, and I was talking to these gentlemen who were in the treatment facility, and they said, look, thank you for what you're doing to help us. And I said, no, I'm here
I don't believe you.
to ask for your help. I need you. I have a job for you to do. You need to get better, and then you're going to go out and grab someone else off a street corner and drag them in here, and you're going to get them clean, and they're going to go out and grab someone else, and we're going to continue that cycle.
So you're going to force people into programs for addiction, which we know doesn't work? Like, we know that doesn't work. Are you going to have due process for this? What programs are you going to force them to do? How is that not more government? How is that not more government control over you and your body and what you're doing and how you're doing it? That doesn't work.
Hope till every one of our brothers and sisters that overcomes these
Nah, that's what you're going to call that? You're going to call that hope? Okay.
addiction crisis.
And you're gonna force them to what? Run on a treadmill, do burpees, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, because, you know, forced physical labor to get them not addicted to drugs, because that's how that fucking works. You have any idea how, like, nefarious this is, the more you think about it? You just noticed, by the way, that he didn't say he was going to pay people. He was relying on it being socially forced on people and people ratting each other out for doing drugs, right? That's what he just said. He didn't say he's going to pay professionals and social workers. He says he's going to grab drug addicts and force those drug addicts to bring in other drug addicts, to force them to do physical exercise that will make them not addicted to drugs anymore. Because magic. Are you just dragging them to the gym? Huh?
We're going to bring home safety and security by rebuilding the great Canadian military and supporting our troops.
What do you mean, bring home? Where did we outsource that to? What are you talking about? Our military does need more funding, and if you look at the Mark Carney's plan for the military, that man be cooking, yo.
We'll rebuild.
All right, hold on, quick, before he said anything. What do you think the odds are he's going to say that he wants to cancel contracts with the United States? I bet you he's not going to say that.
We'll rebuild the landing strips in the north, fill all the recruitment vacancies in the Army, Air Force, and Navy. We will unlock...
How? You're gonna pay them more? You're gonna give them better benefits? We know how you fucking treat veterans. Like shit. You treat veterans like shit. You were there supporting the people who were vandalizing the tomb of the unnamed soldier. Vandalizing it. Waving Nazi flags. We remember what Stephen Harper did while you were in his fucking pocket, while you were working for him, the way veterans were treated. We already know. We know exactly how this goes. Hey, by the way, what happens to your 3-strike rule if the person doing the crime is a veteran? What about that? What about that your policies say that veterans aren't allowed to leave their contracts or be done their contracts early on injury? What about that? How are you going to pay for it? You're already cutting all the taxes. How are you going to pay for any of this? Who are you going to consult? You're cutting the consultants. Who are you going to consult on military spending and on expertise?
Construction of 4 massive Arctic icebreakers that will reassert our dominance in our waters and keep the Russians and the Chinese out of our territory.
Motherfucker, you hang out with paid Russian shills. Like Tim Pool, for example. I think Cat Canada is the one. Social media paid by Russia investigation. Here's the DOJ. Spreading Russian propaganda. Yada, yada, yada. Here is Radio Canada talking about meet the right-wing Canadian influencers accused of collaborating with alleged Russian propaganda scheme. Tenet Media founder Lauren Chen. Now let me do you one real quick favor. See if I can find it. No, that's TikTok. Fuck. I don't have TikTok, so I don't work on it. So I'll just keep going on this one. Tenet Media founder Lauren Chen allegedly took funds from pro-Moscow outlets. The social media accounts of 2 Canadians' most vocal far-right pundits have fallen unusually silent after U.S. officials accused them of being collaborators to of a covert Russian propaganda campaign. On Wednesday, the U.S. Justice Department unsealed an indictment against 2 Russian nationals, accusing them of setting up conservative media outlets as a front for pro-Kremlin propaganda. The media outlet was unnamed in the indictments, but it was clear from details within the charges referred to Tenet Media, founded in 2023 by Canadian influencer known as Lauren Chen and her husband Liam Donovan. Among the people they hired last year, Chen's longtime friend and occasional collaborator Lauren Sutherland, another Canadian far-right influencer with massive social media following. So these are people that are supporting Poilievre. In a few short months, the outlet produced a steady stream of content favorable to Donald Trump, including an appearance by his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. Since the indictment was made public, several Tenet Media collaborators have come forward to claim that they were unaware of how the company was funded. Quote, "These allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were victims of this scheme," David Rubin, a right-wing pundit with 2.45 million YouTube subscribers, wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. But Sutherland and Chen have yet to speak publicly. Reached by phone on Thursday, Chen told CBC News, quote, "We're not commenting at this time." Sutherland did not respond to email. Neither has posted anything online since the indictment was made public. Neither Chen, Donovan, nor Southern are subject to criminal charges, and none are named in the indictment, but allegations have jeopardized their standing within right-wing circles. Shen has already been fired from another conservative website, Glenn Beck's The Blaze. Her YouTube channel, which had more than 572,000 subscribers, was terminated on Thursday, and her bio page on her websites for Turning Points USA, a pro-Trump campus activist group, has been deleted. YouTube also removed Tenet Media's YouTube channel. Not good enough? Not good enough? Also, conservatives and Poilievre specifically limiting media access for journalists. Major Russian disinformation site featuring anti-Trudeau articles prompts call for new focus at public inquiry. Foreign interference inquiry must look into Russia after revelations of propaganda aimed at Canadians. No? Not good enough? Go figure. Hey, Kemmel, who wants us to vote for the Conservative Party of Canada? Why should we? Will you be the first Conservative to come in here and tell us why we should vote for Poilievre? Why should we? I'll wait. Tell me why. Why should we vote for this guy? Because needless to say, can't say I'm a really big fan of the guy who delivers donuts to Nazis. Not really a fan of that. Personally.
Poseidon aircraft will surveil from the top. Fighter jets will attack when needed. We will.
He's trying to take credit for deals that have been made by the Liberals so far.
So build the first Canadian base in the Arctic since the Cold War. CFB Iqaluit. We will honor our veterans, give them the support they need to live.
Will you? By bringing donuts to people that are vandalizing monuments to veterans?
Lives, they fought for us. We will fight for them.
How? By doing what? What are you going to do, and how are you going to pay for it? Because again, everything in your policy is about fucking veterans over.
We will restore our freedoms, repeal censorship, honor...
Whoa, hold on. Repeal censorship? Repeal censorship, says the guy who's only fielding 4 questions with no follow-ups from hand-picked questions and bullying the media and calling the media hecklers and protesters when they ask you questions? You're gonna repeal censorship, being the most journalist-censored candidate ever? Fuck's sakes, this guy's playbook is so Trumpy that I'm expecting him to promise a wall and make Mexico pay for it. Yeah. Where are you repealing censorship? What are you talking about? That's like straight up out of left field. And by the way, you don't restore freedom. Again, this is the guy who wants to use the non-disclosure clause. Or sorry, the non-withstanding clause. The non-withstanding clause is suspending your freedoms. Not restoring them, that's suspending them. You know what the word suspending means, right, conservatives? Suspending. You know what that word means? That's not repealing and restoring freedoms, that's suspending freedoms. And obviously, you're not restoring freedoms or guaranteeing freedoms for people who break the law, right? Because you're saying you want to bring back something that was already deemed to be against the Constitution. On top of, you said you wanted to repeal this, which specifically removes provisions that have been ruled unconstitutional. So if you rescind this, then you are bringing back provisions that have been ruled unconstitutional. So that is the opposite of restoring freedom. That is restricting freedoms. And I want to say, again, any time this guy mentions for anything that includes foreign affairs, which includes border safety, that includes military, he has no idea what he's talking about. And he doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't have his security clearance. Oh, his wife is from the IDF, if you didn't know.
the people who came before us, end cancel culture. We will have put up.
Oh my god, all the conservatives care about is fucking identity politics. Jesus fucking cancel culture. How are you gonna end cancel culture? Okay, here's the thing. Okay, hear me out. If cancel culture is real, as they so describe it, and it is a cultural phenomenon, then means that you are talking about a government that is going to suppress the culture of the people and the culture and social situation that the people want. How are you going to do that? That is the government giving thought crime. That is the government dictating what you as a society and you as a culture are allowed to do. That's dictation. That is not freedoms. You can't end cancel culture as a government without restricting or enforcing wrongthink. That's what that is. That's fascism. You don't get to do that. You definitely don't get to do that and turn around and say that the conservatives want to give you more freedoms and dictate less and give you less curtails on what you are and are not allowed to do. This is all control. Everything about this has been about control. They get to tell you who you get to marry. They get to tell you what to do with your body. They get to tell you whether or not you're allowed to live. Small government! The small government is going to increase our military, increase our border spending, increase our police force, and is going to tell you what you're allowed to think. Big brother?
New statues rather than tearing down old statues. Because we're proud to be Canadian. We love this country. And
hey, you think that maybe we took the statues down because the people there were assholes? Like, you know, for example, John A. MacDonald? Hey, what about your guys that you gave donuts to, the truckers that you supported that vandalized the Terry Fox statue? You got anything to say about that?
We're grateful for the people who came before us.
Unless they're liberals, then fuck those guys. You know, he talks about honoring Canadians who have served Canada, but then he shits on Carney, who was a Canadian who served Canada and got the award for it under Harper's government. It's almost like he doesn't actually give a shit. Because if he gave a shit and actually this was a principle that he actually cared about, he'd be like, listen, I don't agree with Carney's policies. I appreciate what he did in the 2008 financial crisis. I don't think he's the best for the job right now. And I think that I can do a better job, and here's why I think I can do a better job. But no. We've got the conservatives coming in here saying that Carney's a fraud and a con man and all kind. He's in bed with China and whatever the fuck nonsense that Poilievre and his fucking tenant media shit has been pushing. God, he looks like such a loser. He's got no charisma.
We owe it to all of them to pass on the great Canadian promise that they built for all of us.
By using the notwithstanding clause to limit the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and circumvent it, and by doing things like repealing Bill C-75, which removes provisions that have been ruled unconstitutional. Which means they're going to restore provisions that have been ruled unconstitutional, because that honors the veterans, right? Shitting on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? That's an honor to veterans and the people who came before you? That's what that means to you? With more government oversight and more police state?
It just happen. If we sit under the shade, it's because long ago people planted a tree for us. The Canadians who came before made it possible for all of us to have the opportunity that we enjoy today. It's a contract between the dead, the living, and the yet to come. That we must pass this promise down the line. We must restore it today.
So if you want to restore things, then put taxes back to what they were in the 50s. Start there, and then maybe you'll have something to talk about.
Everyone has...
Half the problem is Trump, half the problem is that he's still running against Trudeau, and half is that his policy is garbage. Conservative math. Yeah, no, April's 100% right.
The chance to enjoy the opportunities that I had, that Anna had, and that many in this room had. What binds us together is the Canadian promise.
With your insane pension that literally nobody else has? With your mansion that the taxpayers pay for? That what? What? It's so out of touch.
C'est la promesse du Canada que chaque
Oh, wow, it's actually been a long time since he went into French. So he's just going into French right at the very end.
fort pour avoir une belle vie dans une belle maison abordable, sur une rue sécuritaire, protégée par nos braves soldats sous notre fier drapeau du Canada. Il nous faut du changement pour le ramener ici
For a
au
new
Canada.
change.
C'est la mission de ma campagne électorale et la raison pour laquelle il faut voter pour le changement demain. My friends, the Canadian promise is what unites us and brings us together. In order to restore it, we need you to stand up for change.
What do you mean restore it? What are you talking about? What first, what is the promise and why is it not being fulfilled? And then what are you going to do? Because cutting taxes doesn't do it. We already did the math. The math does not check out. The math doesn't check out for any of the shit that you want to do. What is the protocol on how much French English they should use? So there's no like official rules, but generally when you're giving a speech and you want to be the prime minister, generally you try to do as best as a one-to-one as you can. So when you'll say something in French and then you'll say it in English, or you'll say something in English and then you'll say it again in French. Sometimes people will, depending on where you are in the country, that you might, if you go on a long tangent in English, then you might surmise what you had said in French. So you, particularly Poilievre, that was a really long time to go without saying anything in French, and with how short that was, he definitely didn't do the whole thing. But generally you try to do as one-to-one as you can get. Not everybody does it every single time. I'm just noting it because Poilievre has gone out of his way to francophone his name, to go so far as to do that I find it odd. He also goes out of his way to pretty much start most things in French as well, to try to appeal to the French conservatives, and it comes off as really fake.
Change now more than ever to rekindle the hopes that we inherited from our ancestors and pass them down to our grandchildren.
Yeah, he was sloganeering in French, you're right.
The great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything.
That has never been the Canadian promise. That has never been the Canadian promise. And being shitty to foreigners and cutting taxes isn't gonna cut it.
Hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable house on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our...
Brave you streets, and you want your streets protected by troops? Are you actually saying out loud that you want military in your streets? We want martial law? Actually? That's not what he's saying, is it? No, it is. This is the thing. You've got to trust these people when they say this shit out loud. I'm not going to give this man the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't earned it.
Our proud flag, Canada, let's bring it home!
I like how I saw somebody say that they like how shitty Poilievre was to women for so long in catering to like the incel man vote, that he's had to drag his kid and his wife across the country to try to pretend that he likes women. Yuck. I'm not gonna lie, that was bad. There's a lot of shit in there that doesn't make any fucking sense. None of the math checks out. He still hasn't really told me why I should vote for him. Because the only thing he's really brought forward is math that doesn't work, and fear-mongering, and liberals bad. He seriously said he wants troops at the border, troops on the streets. Would not be a stretch. Yeah, good point. I think April wrapped it up pretty well there. Half of his problem is Trump. Yeah, you notice he didn't name Trump once. Trump is one of the big... Trump and what America is doing with tariffs, because he didn't mention tariffs, and he didn't mention the economy, by the way. Those are like 3 major fucking talking points. He didn't talk about the economy. He talked about cutting taxes and affordability. He didn't talk about the economy. He didn't talk about the world stage at all. The closest thing he got was about the Arctic. That's the closest thing he got to that. And from somebody benefiting from Russia shills, that's kind of a bit rich to be bitching about Russia, but a little on the nose. A little bit of hypocrisy, a little bit of cowardice, a little bit of fucking lying. But, like, in summation, like, the biggest... Let me show you real quick. Top issues. U.S. threats. Hold on. April 23rd. No, I don't want an April 23rd one. I want one that's a little bit older. I want one that's kind of more of everything. Hold on, let me, no, that's the Vancouver Sun. Special ballots. No, that's not what I want. 10 issues that will define the elections. I was hoping for a poll. No, that's not it. Let's try polling Canada. Hold on. Polling Canada. Let's suppose trusted sources. Liberal majority, liberal majority, liberal majority. I don't care about that. Liberal majority. Manitoba. Election day rapidly approaching. National survey. No, that's not what I want. National defense. Public priority. Here we go. That's something more what I'm looking for. Canada is facing a series of difficult challenges. What priorities the federal government place on each of the following areas? National defense. Yeah. Poilievre can't talk. The part of the problem is Poilievre can't talk about national defense because he doesn't have his security clearance. Here's the seat projection, by the way, from a couple different places. So the other question is, if the conservatives say and the liberals argue the same thing, like are saying that they want to do the same thing, why do you pick Poilievre over Carney? Polls baked in. No. When forced to choose, Canadians prefer British monarchy to Trump. Rejoin the British Empire, 82%. Come at 50 for state, 18. Oh my fucking god. The fact that this man went an entire time without naming Trump once. Like, Trump is obviously at the top of concerns, right? America, the 51st state stuff is, like, really high on Canada's priority list and Canadians' priority list, so I think it says a lot that Poilievre didn't even talk about them. He didn't talk about the tariffs. He didn't talk about Trump at all. He didn't talk about climate change at all. Like, didn't even touch on it. His stuff that he talked about affordability, the math was off and doesn't work. So I think that one of the major problems is that, like, this dude is not talking about anything that Canadians are actually concerned about in any, not only in at all, or in a way that makes any fucking sense. So that when he finally does talk about something, or he can't talk about it at all, you almost feel bad for him. I'd feel bad for him if he wasn't so fucking weird and scuzzy and gross. Like, he was earnestly trying and he was just a dumb little guy, he'd probably be doing better. Writing results. Wait, did this number go up? That did. That went up. This Main Street one went up from the 19th. The seat trending is really fucking solidified. Oh, yo, Landon, you're right. 72 seats are required, not 75. Yeah, no, this is a huge issue for Poilievre. Like, it's a really big deal that he didn't touch on Trump, he didn't touch on the tariffs, he didn't touch on the economy at all, which are three major issues. He didn't touch on foreign policy at all, which notably he can't talk about because he doesn't have a security clearance. And the closest thing that he did was like affordability, but again, we did the math, and the math doesn't check out, so the only thing that he's really got is he wants more police, which is more authoritarian shit, and he wants to tell you what you're allowed to think. Jeff Poilievre has the same initials as Jordan Peterson. Oh, I hate you. You're right. You're right. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Well, I'm gonna call it there. That was our last stream for the day. It is midnight. I'm going to bed. I gotta go vote tomorrow. I gotta get up. Tomorrow, I will be live with Landon. Later on in the day to watch the polls come in. So if you want to watch me cry, feel free to come and join us over on Debate Hub Official. Right there. Peter MacKay would have been a formidable opponent. Alas. And yet here we are. So if you want to watch those polls come in with us, feel free to join us. We're going to have a couple of call-ins. So feel free. Check us out over there. And I like to think that now that we are wrapping up to the end of this, I would like to point out that we went on a whole ass streak where not one single conservative was able to successfully do the math, was not able to give us one singular reason why we should vote for Poilievre. Of how many hours of this I have covered for about a month worth of time, not one single fucking conservative was able to actually fucking have a conversation, prove that they're able to have a conversation, prove that they understood a topic, or do any single fucking piece of math. Yippee! Alright, so I might talk about Canada versus MAGA and look at Steve's stream as to why he's MAGA now. We'll see. I don't know if I feel like it. If I feel like giving that a little bit of a troll. I mean, he's basically saying that I was right, because you'll notice that a couple of weeks ago I had pointed out that he has gone full MAGA, and he was gone full right-wing while he was running around trying to deny it, so I guess he's just accepted that what I was saying about him was correct, so... Sounds like he's just finally coming to terms with something that everybody else already knew, and he already had been for quite a while, so... Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for joining me. This has been Payne. Like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. And that video of the conservative platform is still rendering, and it's at 33%. And it says it's gonna be done at 9 p.m. tomorrow, I think. Yep, 9 p.m. Well, 9 p.m. today now because it's after midnight. So look out for that, or however long that takes to upload, but it'll be up soon. There's a really funny, if you don't feel like watching the whole thing, I definitely at least recommend watching all the transitions from day to day because they were quite funny. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna get out of here. It's 12 hours of rendering. 12 hours of video being rendered. Sorry, it's actually more than that. It's 12 hours of a total video. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to get out of here. Like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. And we'll see you on Debate Hub Official tomorrow to watch the polls come in. I'm tired. I'm done. Bye.
I disagree infinitely about the way that was dumb, and I hate it. And I hate it.